I have a microphone. This is the point of the stream where we just wait for people to come in. Nobody's gonna come in, so I'm just going to read a book silently to myself. This is riveting podcasting, by the way. It's amazing. You think like, hey, maybe George is going to talk about the meetup or all of those papers. No. He just reads Xavier Marks. So much fun. You know, I should read these instead. They're interesting. Good evening, Simon. Good evening, Mojo, who brought the popcorn. And Sandy just thinks it's funny. Funny things. Right now we're waiting on people. Like, so Chris and Sean and Brett are coming, but they're late. You know, I'm early, like 15 minutes early. Who cares? I figured now would be a good time before they all came in to answer questions. Oh, look, it rolled into music. It's professional podcasting here.
Hey, George.
Hey, Sean. I should bring you over. What's up, man?
Not too much. How you doing today?
All right. I already went live because I got bored.
Oh, nice. We're live.
Here. First, I was reading your book.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. I finally got a copy. You're gonna sign this thing for me,
I will definitely sign it for you.
Nice.
It's funny because it has Jesse's name on it. It's like I always feel like when I offer to sign it for someone, they're like, "That's not whose signature I really want."
Yeah. Can we give Jesse a call? Sorry, for those of you who can't see, it's Jesse Eisenberg. It's the weird sort of awkward.
I wish I was close enough with him to call him.
Oh, so that wasn't from you, huh?
We're not besties. I wish.
Okay. But like I saw online, you've got is it Alicia Silverstone and shit that's giving out clues, and then
not her, but we've had like Jason Alexander from Seinfeld. Some different people of various things. Damon John we love from Shark Tank. Him and Hillary worked together on some projects when she was doing her swimsuit line. So he's been great for us.
Nice. He's the guy that did he's the one that focuses on clothing, right? Like
FUBU.
Yeah,
he founded FUBU. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty good. You start a company that big, you're doing all the right things.
Yeah. FUBU came along at just the right time and gave people exactly what was needed for that, that period of time.
Yeah, nobody was filling that hole in the market.
George sounds like he's talking through a tin can. That sucks.
You're the one with the nice microphone. You'd think it would be me if anybody that would sound weird.
I don't know. Do I sound weird to you? Can you hear me?
You sound normal to me.
Huh. That's kind of messed up. I don't know why I would sound like I'm coming through a tin can.
Interesting.
I am too low and you are too loud. This is weird. I'll fix it. Maybe that's better. Is this better, guys? Probably not. Okay, whatever. Anyway. So we're waiting on Chris and we're waiting on Brett.
Sounds good. The foursome.
Yeah. That's a odd foursome.
It's like
So you
two
don't
odd
have-
couples all together.
You don't have a nice microphone?
Not hooked up to this computer. I don't. No.
Oh, you just got the nice like cameras and shit.
I do have a nice camera. Yeah.
What kind of camera do you use?
Well, I use I'm trying to upgrade it, but I use the Canon the Mark III right now, the 5D Mark III.
Yeah.
But I like it because it's full frame, but it's not 4K. So I think I'm gonna upgrade to 4K.
Yeah, I really like the Sony line. Like I've got the A51 5600. I have the 5600. I really like it for the autofocus, but I feel like I bought mine used and I think something's wrong with the autofocus on it because it keeps like it pulses like a lot.
Yeah, it could be the settings too. Maybe. Yeah, I know that's what's kind of annoying about my camera is that it's all manual. You don't have an autofocus on the video. So.
I kind of want to stick with Sony, but like there's just your cameras are so expensive.
Yeah, I was thinking about switching to Sony. Someone was trying to get me to switch to Sony recently. The problem is you invest in the lens so much, right? So then you got to switch all your lens over.
Yeah, well, you can get an adapter. I don't know if you can from Canon to Sony, but you can get an adapter from Sony, like to put Nikon lenses on Sony, which the adapters aren't horrible.
I wonder if it works with Canon. I'll look into it. I know Canon's like
autofocus.
they love themselves so much, so and they make a pretty good product. But I'm at the point though where I'm like, I need 4K probably.
Yeah,
it just gives you more editing options.
Canon just sucked for the longest time for like live streaming, for using the camera for like because it didn't have raw HDMI out, and you had to screw with it to get raw HDMI out. So much so that like you zooming in and cutting crap out of frame, it was weird.
It's probably just a settings thing on your camera. Probably just change a couple settings and it'll be okay.
Yeah, I just don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Somebody asked if the Byron manuscripts that you're displaying at the meetup, will that be the first reveal? No, here's your first reveal. Yes, it will be. And shortly thereafter, I'll just put them online for everybody, for people who can't come. In fact, if you can't come to the meetup, don't worry, because I'll everything that's there will be put online eventually when I can.
Is there a lot of good stuff in there?
In the transcript?
In the
manuscripts? It's different. So most of it's the same as the book. So like it's not the whole book, right? It's just sections. It's like a good bit of the front of the book, a good bit of the back of the book, but the verses aren't in there. And if something's different in them, it's vastly different, right? Like completely different in a way that screws up everything. But like most of the back of the book stuff is the same, because I don't know if people realize it, but I've said all along, and I wasn't lying to people, that Byron got a manuscript from Sean and Ted and he didn't really change it and he put it out. And that's kind of what the back of the book stuff is. It's basically like some things were named different, and then there were like Sean and Ted, National Lampoon style writing was known for sort of run-on sentence, run-on descriptions. You remember like George Carlin used to do the shit with words where he would just go on and on and on and on and on and be funny. It's sort of like that, where Byron was just like, no, get rid of that. But yeah, it's gonna be interesting.
It'll be fun.
Sleeves.
Dude, it's 105 here with the humidity. Like sleeves, there's no time for sleeves.
Where do you live?
I live in Toronto.
Oh gosh. Oh, I'm repping your Canada.
People are still saying it's hard to hear me. I don't understand.
Well, you sound good to me.
Yeah.
Am I doing okay? I've got the old hype mic going on here.
Maybe this is better. I guess that's probably better. I'll just talk louder. This is what sucks about me. I really like doing streaming, but I know nothing about cameras and I know nothing about audio. I know nothing about anything. So, oh well.
It's
Well,
the
that's what
content that matters.
Yeah, that's what
Is
YouTube's
it?
for, right? Go
Yeah.
go tutorial your way to it.
If the content's what matters, I'm screwed. So, Chris, did you get one of these? Did you get a copy of Xavier Marks?
It hasn't come in the mail yet. It's coming
It's so cute.
across.
It's
across the
basically
continent.
a book about like a tour guide that wants to fuck with children.
A good way of putting it.
It's really good,
Stoked
man. You're
for
gonna like it.
I'm stoked for it. I'm stoked to show it to my daughter. She's gonna love it, and we'll go from there.
So like the thing that screwed with me when I first picked up this book was it says there's a secret clue by Jesse Eisenberg, and I looked through the book and I was like, where the fuck is the secret clue by Jesse Eisenberg? And then I went online and I started looking, and apparently it's a secret clue, like it's hidden and you can't find it. And then I think Jesse Eisenberg was teasing online, like, has anybody even found it yet?
Yeah, some people that there's people that know certain things for sure, and if you go in the online community, you might get little bits and pieces that to get you started.
Yeah.
People are sharing some stuff, which is good.
Where's the online community for this one?
There's a couple different Facebook groups. If you just search for the book title, they don't have like a ton of people, but I know they posted some stuff that might help.
Nice.
Is there a mysterious writings board for it?
There is. I don't check in on it very often, but I know there is one. I've
They
seen
tend
some
to be
stuff.
pretty active.
I wonder if there's a 12 Discord. Is it on the 12 Discord?
I don't know about that.
It is not. I'll have to get it put on there. See if I can't get somebody to put it on there.
I know there's a few different people of like smaller Discord communities working on it too. I'm not sure how big and whether they're open and stuff like that though.
Have you done anything with Robert from Live at the Code Bar?
I have not. Maybe he should be next on my list. I have never even met Robert.
He's a nice guy. He's going to be on Sunday Funday next week.
Yeah,
We're
I
gonna
thought it was
talk
next
about-
week.
Yeah, morals and ethics and treasure hunting.
Sounds good.
Right, I'm into this.
That's a tough one, especially with the secret.
Yeah. Well, so like, yeah, it really is. But it seems like in the past like 2 years, treasure hunts have exploded into, like people doing bad shit and people, not being honorable.
Yeah, I mean, how many lawsuits have you been threatened with
It's 9
at this
but
point?
most of so a lot of them have been valid.
Okay.
Not all of them, were frivolous. Some of them were like, yeah, okay, I screwed up.
Same with Fen. Like, aren't there still lawsuits like in progress?
Yeah,
So
several. I think they're still going through one, right? I don't know that much about Forrest Fenn.
yeah,
Like,
I
prior
think
to
there's
him
at
dying.
least 2 major active lawsuits that might still be going on.
I still want to do like a what the fuck happened with Forrest Fenn, but I don't know who I can get to talk about it, because anybody who talks about they're going to be the center of drama.
Yeah.
Was the last lawsuit resolved quickly? Can you say what it was? The last lawsuit, no, not yet. That comes up soon. But the one previous to that was the United Jewish Federation, that charity drive we were doing. Somebody told them that we were scamming them out of money. By the time I got their cease and desist, we had already given them like $3,000. So when I called their lawyer back, they were like, "Yeah, we get it. You're getting us money."
Interesting.
Yeah. So we're waiting on Brett, by the way, Chris,
Okay, cool.
and we're just bullshitting. And I really have no idea what to talk about tonight. So
I'm always down to BS.
yeah.
Give me
We'll
a
just solve some
topic.
treasure hunts tonight. Why not? We'll crack it wide open.
Yeah, let's solve this one. Sean, you got
That
any
one,
idea? Got any
Got a
idea
couple
how we
ideas.
get started on this one? Okay. Like I'm curious what gave you the idea for this? Because it's like the two things that I love about it is it seems like it's child focused but not child directed, right? Like you can tell. I could read this to like a 5 or 6 year old for like a bedtime story. He's not gonna understand the puzzle because I don't understand the puzzle. And then like the art that was included in it, the children's art, like where did you guys come up with this idea, and how did you go about putting it together? Does that make sense?
Yeah. So we, in terms of like the art and everything in it, once we decided we wanted to really focus on art, because like our number one thing was we wanted it to be a good book that people could enjoy, that people are going to say, even if I lost the treasure hunt, I have this book. If it's not for me, I'll give it to another kid or I'll give it to somebody and someone's going to enjoy it. And so then we ended up working with the International Child Art Foundation, which is a foundation that does stuff all over the world. They like bring art supplies to, cities that are like underserved communities and stuff like that. They do a lot of different activities. And so they helped us, with some of the artists you'll see in the book are a part of their organization. They've gone through the different activities that the organization does. And we definitely worked with them to just try to make it as good a book as possible. And we wanted the book to appeal to children in terms of just being a book. But then in terms of like treasure hunt, I always kind of like compare it the most to Masquerade, because Masquerade was a book. You could give it to your kid. He's going to enjoy the book. But I don't really see a kid solving Masquerade on his own.
Yeah.
No.
But a kid might be the one that has the idea of what to do, right? The kid might be like, hey, why don't we draw a line through this and this? Versus like a rational adult might be like, that sounds dumb. Is it really going to be drawing it through the digits? I don't think so.
That's our first clue. Draw a line through some shit. Brett,
I read through the Instagram.
I have not. Can
We
you?
gotta get you a copy.
You're hard to,
You're gonna
George.
love
Why are you hard to hear?
it. What the?
I hit a sore note. I'm so
Am
small.
I still hard to hear? I don't know.
Yeah,
No,
dude, it's like your mic's. It's like I can hear you from Florida or something. Like you're yelling.
That's so
Like
weird.
your
It
mic's
sounds
not-
great for me.
Really,
Like I hear him perfectly. Yeah.
Sounds
Sean?
good to me.
I don't know.
It sounds like your audio, your microphone is your computer microphone. It sounds like your audio, your
Now I'm
microphone is
hearing you.
computer microphone. It sounds like your
This is
audio,
gonna be
your
fun.
microphone is computer microphone.
I don't know where that's coming from, but all right.
How is that coming from?
It's coming from Brett. I can verify it's coming from Brett. I think. I don't know. That's better.
No, Brett was trying to read the comments. So he's watching the video and he's in the video.
I wasn't on my computer though.
Brett was trying to read the comments. So he's watching and he's in the video.
I wasn't sure that's me.
I don't know.
What is happening?
I wasn't sure that's.
Ah! I didn't change anything on this end. It can't be me. I promise.
I totally screwed this up, didn't I? I hope it wasn't going like awesome.
It was, man. We were about to solve a treasure hunt. I don't know what's going on with my mic. I can turn off. Let me turn this off. Does this make it any better? At all? Probably not. It looks lower.
Did you turn your like condenser off? It sounds
Yeah.
less compressed.
Yeah, I turned the condenser off.
Turn down the flange a little bit too. Wow,
Hey, you
wow,
guys.
wow.
You guys suck. You really do. You suck. It's what it is.
Oh, that's getting better.
Is
Right?
it good? I don't know.
Yes.
Can I turn my high pass back on, or is that
A
not?
little more reverb,
Okay.
right, Chris?
A little bit more cowbell.
Yeah, some cowbell in there too.
Can I just get like a talk box? And wow.
Auto tune. Okay, is this
Dude.
better?
I tried really hard to get an auto tune filter, but I can't find one.
That would be rad.
Because I've got video filters, which are just crazy. Like I could be a bee. Hi, I'm a bee.
You should make a Byron Price one
Yeah.
and speak to us.
I don't know that I'm cool enough to make one.
Some deep fake stuff going on.
Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, this stream got awesome.
So, it's fun though.
Yeah. So
Sure,
what do we
ruined
want
the-
to talk about? Brett, you're the boss today. What do you want to talk about?
What? Dude, I'm joining for just because you said join. What am I supposed to do?
You asked.
I'm just kidding. What do you guys want to talk about? You want to talk about okay, Sean, what were you talking about? You were describing your hunt?
Yeah, we were talking about the hunt. Do you have any questions about it that I can answer?
Did we get any
Did we get any
questions?
No. No.
Comments wise?
Comments wise?
We asked him if I asked him if we could call Jesse Eisenberg, and he said no. And then I asked him if we could call George Costanza, and he said no.
That'd be a good one.
So,
I honestly, I don't know who Jesse Eisenberg even is, but I
Dude
do
from
know
the Social
Jason
Network.
Alexander. Haven't seen it.
Super bad. Was he also in Super Bad? No.
Not super bad. He was in Zombieland, right?
Yeah.
I'm showing my
He's
like
the he's the
non-movie
guy that's
watching.
like
What's that magic one? He's in, like that. Now You See Me. Those are good movies.
yeah. Do you know the dude from Scott Pilgrim versus the World?
Michael
Jesse
Cera.
Eisenberg is like a cuter, more talented version of that guy.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Perfect.
But Michael Cera's Canadian, so we represent him anyways.
Okay.
But I do know Mr. Krabs. So it's like,
You got
and
one
if
of
you
them.
saw that new season of Dexter, he was like pretty frightening in that as well.
Yeah, he's got a wide range of roles, right? You can play Mr.
Yeah.
Krabs and a serial killer.
Yeah, it was very interesting to like hear his voice and not see like a crazy crab hamburger boss.
What did you think of the new Dexter?
It was good.
I thought it was a return. It was like a return to force. The last season of the original was pretty bad.
Yeah.
I thought
Yeah.
this made up for it. Definitely.
It was predictable, but it was still good. It was still enjoyable. You know? It wasn't the best ending that it could it's probably the best ending they could have done. But you could see the ending coming from a mile away, but you still enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Can I admit something?
You've never seen Dexter?
No, I saw it. It was me. The audio thing. I just figured it out, and I do the same thing every time I join. I don't have it on my. So I think that I have it on my external mic and headphones, but it's not on any of it. It's playing through my effing computer.
So I sounded fine.
What's up, Chris?
And I
How's it
was
going?
messing with my microphone this whole time. Great.
So you go into sales calls and you're just like, I can't hear you guys. Like,
I do. I actually do it a
they're like,
lot.
okay, we're
I did
not
it-
buying from him.
Yes, I did it like 6 times last week, as a matter of fact. Like,
I haven't heard any complaints, so you're gonna give me $1 billion and we're gonna go forward with this.
hey, if you're not saying I can't hear a no, I can't hear anything. Okay, we could talk about San Francisco unless we've
Sure.
beat that one to death, or a different one, Montreal. Sean, you seem into
I
Montreal.
happen to have Montreal up, but I have very few thoughts on Montreal.
And then Cole's doing the thing with Chris
Yeah.
and with Rebecca soon about.
Fun.
So we should probably let them do their Montreal.
What
Yeah,
is
I feel
that?
like I have to save anything.
Yeah, save it.
I
That
just
is
like
that.
San Francisco. If we want to touch on that, that's fine too.
Let's talk about it.
Yeah.
Did we give Xavier Marks a fair shot? Like, did we did we cover everything we wanted to cover?
Well, I
with
mean,
it?
I think nobody's looked at it yet. So why don't
Yeah.
you get a copy of the book, Brett will get a copy of the book, or I'll send Brett a copy of the book because he won't buy it. And we'll talk about it because I like it. I just I read it. I read through it like twice, and I'm like, I have no idea where to go with this. Like, I have some ideas, and I don't really want to look online. I don't want to be biased.
You got to read the Instagram. You got to follow the Instagram and read the hints.
Yeah,
You
I
definitely
read.
have to follow the Instagram. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
read up on the Instagram. I got that much from looking online, so I follow the Instagram. But dude, I'd love to, like, if we could get a couple of copies of the book, we'll go through it. Until
Mine
then, just
should be
everybody
in the
else go
mail.
on, you know.
I think DHL has it, so who knows when it'll show up.
EHL, they're still around. What's
And
that?
then we'll call Jesse Eisenberg, and we'll see if
Yeah.
we can't get him on the.
International FedEx. So I don't have an Instagram account, and I also don't have a Twitter account. And these are reasons that I don't buy these books and join these puzzles unless somebody else. I know. And yeah, I know what you guys are thinking.
Well,
The
I will
podcast
say,
has both of those. You can borrow the podcast account if you want.
No.
for our
Dude.
the Instagram's all bonus. You can solve it without the Instagram.
You say that, but then the people that solve it always have an Instagram account.
I mean, there's 10 hints at this point, so yeah,
Mhm.
it probably would help.
It does sound cool though. So I think I will get it and I will sign up for Instagram.
Hopefully
A
this one
couple-
doesn't. Hopefully this one doesn't go directly to shit. Like we have a habit of whenever we talk about a treasure hunt on the podcast, immediately afterwards it goes to shit.
Let's stop talking then, because I don't want no drama. I just want
Oh,
someone to
yes.
be happy.
It's-
That's it.
That's actually kind of true, isn't it? I think back through.
We did the
Or-
Great U.S. Treasure Hunt. That one went
Yeah.
okay. That one
But
went
dude,
okay.
Christian heard about it on our podcast, solved it, and won $10,000.
Yeah.
True.
So
And
There's
Someone
that.
watching right now could solve
Podcast
Xavier Marks and win
Yep.
$10,000.
one of our viewers.
somebody else associated with the I can't say that shit because they haven't said it publicly. But it was about the Great U.S. Treasure Hunt. Anyway. But then we did the Incredible Hunt, and that one kind of went,
I heard
Sure,
that
that'll
went a
be it.
little sideways.
yeah.
Oh, really?
I regretted
Dish.
doing.
Dish.
So
Don't
There-
slander.
I'm not. Yeah, it's that kind of thing. So I have to be careful.
Shoot number 10.
It's pretty bad. There was a lot of alleged privacy issues and software issues. Okay, I'll explain it like this because I don't know what happened, but this is what I assume happened. There was a portion of one of the hints where you had to get emailed a photo, download the photo onto your phone, and then text that photo to a phone number where that photo was verified on the server of being the correct photo, and you won. Except that if you did that via iPhone, everything was okay. But if you did it via Android, Google compressed the photo and changed like the hash values. So when you sent it in, it was incorrect. So like anybody who submitted via Android, their answer was invalid, right? And then when the creator was informed that happened, he blamed the user and then paid the other team, like didn't pay the person who won first, it was a whole lot of weirdness.
I mean,
But,
I can add a little to that because I was on the winning team from that puzzle. I can maybe shed a little light. So I think a lot of it's been blown out of proportion. As far as I know, the person that brought up the issue is back in the community, so they must be at least somewhat happy. That person was actually on our team, so like the very first person that brought up the issue. So it didn't like end up like we got lucky.
Okay.
And it didn't change who ended up winning because it was already a team of people that had already agreed to split whatever was won.
Mhm.
But it was an issue where somebody they didn't get the credit for it, right? Because like there's still like leaderboard points, like you get like 10 leaderboard points for things.
Right.
And so like the first person in our team to do it had an Android, but she didn't get the credit for it. And then later on, somebody else in our team was like, oh, well, I'll just try it. And, even though we'd already tried it, and that person had an iPhone, so it went through. And so that person ended up winning. And then I think the biggest issue that most people are having, as far as I know, it's all like behind the scenes stuff that I haven't seen. Like, I think people are saying like there's some issues with like the communication behind the scenes between certain people and the creator. And since I haven't seen that part, I can't speak to that part. part.
That part's crazy. That's crazy. Like it seems like the biggest issue with that hunt is not the hunt itself. It's the way the creator's communicating with people. Like the person who initially brought the thing forward got blocked from the hunt like immediately. And some of the stuff
what happened there. She is back now.
She's
That
back
person
now.
is back now.
That's cool. Yeah, some of the
I'm
behind
not
the scenes
sure what
communication is a
happened,
little
yeah.
crazy.
I don't want to like just totally shit on it because I do think he has like a nice like his puzzle is nice.
Yeah. Yeah.
The stream that you all did on it was awesome. I thought like
It was a lot of
the
fun.
solution was really good. Like it seemed very interesting. If I had more time, I would
And then it was like 3 days
interested
later.
to look
It
at
just- It was a dumpster fire.
it.
It sounded more like a PR type of problem to me versus like a hunt problem, because for like this type of technical hunt, I would kind of expect there to be some problems in the beginning, and then I would
Yeah.
expect the creator to make it right. You know,
Yeah.
and as long as he makes it right, I think everything ends up being okay. But I think that to me, it sounded like, and I'm going off hearsay because I haven't actually seen the messages. It sounds like the person who had the issue communicated with Nick, the creator, and them liked the way the other conversation went, however it went.
Yeah. That was
So-
weird.
Something happened there.
There's a fine line when you create a hunt. If you're involved in the community of that hunt, you have to be very careful, or you could just like screw shit up completely and in a heartbeat.
Especially when
Yeah.
you're new. It's easy to have the whole community turn against you because the community's been together for so long and you're just coming into it on your own.
All right, so maybe it's not as bad as we think it
Nail
is.
that.
I mean, I'm still participating in like the Incredible Hunt. I didn't play this week just because, well, I'm on this show and it was kind of like a conflict, but I still think like I would like people to give him a chance because I like the product. And I think that hopefully he's going to learn a lesson from whatever happened. Hopefully he learned a lesson.
I have been
Right.
politely asked to shut the fuck up.
Next
So I'm
subject.
gonna do that now.
I told you, dude. I told you.
The good news means people are watching.
Yeah, who the hell would? Well, there's
Someone's
40 people.
watching.
Was that Jesse Eisenberg texting
That's
you?
that
Could be.
Yeah.
He
The
finally
40
got
is just on Facebook. YouTube is a whole different beast, right?
Yeah. Anyway, San Francisco.
Hello.
It's a
Talk
treat.
about something else. It's a treat.
the fun puzzle. I like San Francisco.
I want to go back to San Francisco.
I
Come on
might,
back.
I might be there in a couple weeks.
You should come to St. Augustine in a couple of weeks.
No.
Well,
come
my
to San
work isn't in.
Francisco.
I know my work isn't in St. Augustine. My work
Nothing's
is
in St.
Francisco.
No.
But I might be there the week of the 22nd if
You guys should
Things-
get together.
Call me.
Yeah.
We missed
I
each
will.
other last time.
the last two times, like 2 times ago, it was like the worst storm the Bay Area had seen in the last like
It was
10 years.
ridiculous.
I had to take an Uber to Stockton, which is, if you know,
What?
Stockton is where
Yeah.
Sons of Anarchy is based. So yeah, it was. Me and Brett missed each other.
No.
Another-
yeah.
other
Why'd
time
you
it
take an
was just-
Uber, dude? That's a long ass Uber. That's like hundreds of dollars.
Yeah, but I had to go to our
Company
warehouses
password.
in Stockton. Yeah, it's
Okay.
like I gotta get out there. So
Okay.
it's that. I don't really have a lot of other options.
Did you
Wow.
say your order house is in Stockton?
Yeah,
Warehouse.
our warehouse.
I thought you did like computer. I don't even want to know anymore. You probably do
I mean,
like
we're-
800 different things.
This is true, but we're a food company, so the food has to get packed into a box and shipped off
Food
at some point.
company?
All right, well, we'll follow up about that later.
I don't even know what you do.
Okay.
He ships mac and cheese.
It's fine. I don't understand what Brett
Get off
does
his back.
either.
I don't know either. That's why I can't explain it.
We could talk about that separately.
But let's definitely this time if
Are you
you're
like the CEO
available.
of HelloFresh? Could you sponsor
Almost.
the podcast?
It depends. If you send me the like demographics, possibly.
That's not that good.
Yeah, we have our target is like I don't know. It might be there might be some target overlap.
We have
I
people
I
that
don't want
are
to bow to the vegans. That's
dude, listen, we have people that are hungry or also eat food or both. That is a sweet demographic right there. That's
Yeah.
right in your sweet spot, dude.
Yeah,
Our,
it really is.
our numbers are right at
Right?
where Audible just sent us an offer for sponsorship. Like, oh yay, Audible finally.
It's good.
Is that
I
bad?
mean,
That's
I'm an
They
Audible
sponsor
user.
People that they sponsor people that have like 4 subscribers.
Oh,
So
well, we love our subscribers.
it's
And
like next we
listeners.
should get Raycon earbuds. That email should come any day now.
Remember, I was going to create a fake sponsor.
Yes.
I was going to make up a manufacturer of probes, and then we were going to like mock up a commercial that we had to
That would
do.
have been so good.
Yeah, we
But
never
like
got to
make it a
would have
puzzle too, and like if you figure it out, it's like haha.
That-
like this was a joke.
would be totally cool, actually. I wish I could
God.
speak in acronyms. I mean, in acronyms. Anyway,
Anagrams.
Anagrams, yeah.
Anagrams.
Okay, so do we want to talk about San Francisco?
Always. I mean,
anything-
it's
Anything new to
it takes 80% of my brain space at all times. So
really? San Francisco does?
yeah,
Cool. I didn't
Constant.
know you were so really. That's awesome.
nonstop.
Let me ask that the vast majority of the people in that look in San Francisco are looking in Golden Gate Park. Nobody on the stream is anywhere near Golden Gate Park, right?
I'm in Golden Gate Park.
Oh.
Golden Gate Park
Sorry.
is like the bait and switch of like everything that's like wrong with The Secret being unsolved for 40 years.
I
Like
believe in bait and switches, so I'm open ears. I think there's some
The-
bait and switches in some other cities, so I wouldn't be surprised.
I think people aren't putting enough stock in the immigration. Like the entire book is about, there's this like macro story that follows the like man's movement from Europe to North America, the fair folk, doing that same thing, but first moving from Europe to North America. The immigration has to be like an integral part of this, and it's shown in Cleveland in the Greek Cultural Gardens. Obviously, it's shown in Boston in the North End with the Italian neighborhood. Personally, I think in Chicago, it's the Ulysses Grant Park, and Ulysses is by James Joyce, is like the most famous Irish novel.
That is
So,
one
like,
hell
there's-
of that's a beast of a novel, by the way.
And it's a great Irish connection
Well, that
as
into
well
Chicago.
to the
that
park.
That's interesting.
Got big Irish connections anyway, right? Like they have
Right.
huge festivals and parades, and
But we have to
tying
be
the-
careful
You're being
tying
more
it to the
specific.
city, because then all of a sudden the Dutch Montreal thing, or people like, well, Montreal should be French then.
yeah, no, I
Right.
agree. But it's basically that area of the city, right? Like Chicago's not a big Irish whatever, but that area is. But I mean, it's the the Magnificent Mile, so that area is basically everything in Chicago. Chinese New
Now-
Year, it's the Chinese area.
So take these premises. San Francisco has the first Chinatown in North America. And if we believe, which some people don't, that quote from one of the articles where he basically says that, why am I doing this? He basically says that the value of the gem is related to the difficulty. The more valuable gems might be
Right.
harder to find, or something. Find the quote.
Supposedly.
Don't
right?
listen to me. But if you take those two things and you put them together, then like, why is it not in Chinatown? Why is it in Golden Gate Park?
Wasn't
Yeah.
there a rumor, or I don't know if it's a rumor, maybe George knows, wasn't it like maybe it's more than just a pearl though? Maybe it's like the whole pearl necklace and it has more
Nobody
value.
knows.
possibly?
Nobody knows.
I mean, that makes sense though, because like one single pearl's kind of me, but
Well,
But
I mean,
even
even
still-
amethyst is kind of meh.
But
however,
yeah, I mean, size, cut, all that stuff. But
Chris,
Should be a big ass pearl.
what about, so my original solve was the Grant, near the Grant bust in the musical concourse in Golden Gate Park, right across from the Asian Art Museum.
I mean,
What does
Asian
that
Art
get me?
Museum, Asian Art
Little
Museum is a good one.
Too broad of a, does it need to be
No.
Chinese?
Great question. So he uses Cathay, not China,
Mhm.
which was like a poetic, like 14th century usage word. So it would be really striking to see the Cathay House in Chinatown and not think like, oh, this weird word in this book is here represented in this building. Like,
especially when you have kind of the same thing with cask in the Fountain of Youth, right? It's a word that's not ever really used, but it's right here.
And maybe
Like
he used it so that you didn't immediately think, is that kind of what you're saying? That he didn't,
Well-
you didn't immediately like give it away? That,
yeah,
oh,
it
China,
would be
Chinatown.
it would be confirmation on site as well that this like out of the ordinary word would be potentially, I mean, if you are a St. Mary's person, you're gonna that word is gonna be right there, close to where you are. So it's
Mhm.
those things are hard to deny, but I get there's like
Totally.
a representation of Golden Gate Park in there, but
There's a lot of stuff in these though, and then we don't know specifically if it, if it's telling us like this is where it's at, or if it's just a reference so you know that it's in San Francisco.
Yeah. That's where
A lot of these
with
could be
Golden Gate
city
Park.
confirmers.
Yep.
All these, the GH, the Golden Gate Bridge part, or the part in the hair. It could all just be pointing you to San Francisco. Oh, Golden Gate Park, and here we are looking at it with the dragon on it, like, oh, this is a map for sure. Or, that's Strawberry Hill. It's got to be there. When really it may just be saying, you got a lot of work to do. Here's the city.
well, if it was,
That-
it's 1982, you get your like local like map, like your AAA map, and you open it up, you might recognize Golden Gate Park as something in San Francisco that is easy to see, that would tell you San Francisco.
I mean, that's
Agreed.
exactly where I go with the Golden Gate Park. Like, we've got City Hall, we've got Terminal Tower, we've got the Water Tower. The casks weren't buried anywhere near those things, right? There's no question about it. There's something to tell you a city. Golden Gate Park's basically the same way. I mean, I feel like it's got shit like Strawberry Hill in it to help solidify Golden Gate Park, right? As a city confirmation thing. This is San Francisco, as opposed to this is where the cask is buried.
But I think you told me this, George. I don't know if this was your original idea, but the dragon in Golden Gate Park, Dragon Gate, is a pretty good.
That's pretty damn good.
It's not really a rebus, but it's sort of like it's a good puzzle way to say Dragon's Gate.
Reference.
If you put a dragon in Golden Gate, like
Right.
Yeah.
And then like JJP at one point said, you guys are missing something that's right in front of you.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think there's something that we're missing, and and I don't think it's simple or something like that, because otherwise we probably would have gotten it. I just think we're not thinking the right way, I guess.
I think it's because we haven't thought like in an we haven't used an illustrative mind. Like all the stuff that he's gone on about Boston, none of it's an exact match to anything. It's all illustrating a word, or it's just trying to get you to a point, right?
Right.
And I think we've spent so much time, we're looking for shit that looks like something else when we're not. I really think that's what he meant. Like,
Yeah.
start trying to figure out what I'm trying to tell you and stop trying to figure out what I painted.
It's just what sucks with that was Cleveland and Chicago were very literal paintings. Like you had the planter and the columns like right in front of you. In Chicago, like clearly the statue at the fountain, the Bowman, like you had these things that you could really latch onto. And it seems that as you progress through the puzzle, you get less and less of that. Like Boston had almost nothing that we know of that was at that pure representation of something.
Right. But we know it changed in some progressive way, right? We look at stuff like New York where there's basically nothing in the image. There's like 5 different things, and we hear John, we've heard Byron talk about them getting progressively harder. John talks about, he's talked a couple of times before about how things get, how some things are more image heavy, some things are more verse heavy, right? So like, I think that's sort of why we're getting into the more trying to get a message across rather than trying to pick some shit out, right? It's because they're getting harder, they're getting more difficult to interpret. Maybe the paintings are getting more difficult to interpret, and the verse it's relying a little heavier on the verses.
The puzzles are harder in these ones, and maybe it's because of the like Chris was saying about the order of the gem. I don't know. It's also interesting that New York and San Francisco seem to be bookended somehow. What is that? Why?
But if they're like, if there's any kind of bookend, that means either New York or San Francisco would have to be first. And if we're going to they get easier and they get progressively more difficult, one of those has to be easier than the rest of
San Francisco.
I would
San
also
Francisco
agree
is
it would be San
easy
Francisco.
and New York is hard.
It's
I think
like,
but that's the thing, the bait and switch is that like we're losing the easiness of San Francisco. Like I forget who it was, but I was trading comments with someone last week and they're like, oh, well, it's not in Chinatown because that would be too obvious. And I'm like, no, I think it's in Chinatown because it's obvious. It's supposed if this is the easy one, like it's easy. let's just stop for a second and take a step back. And like I think people are trying to make San Francisco too hard. They're trying to make it interesting. These pointing fingers mean all these things, and the GH is backwards for this reason. And like it's easy to overcomplicate it, but
we don't have the luxury though of making that determination. Exactly to your point. Like what is overthinking? Am I way overthinking something? I don't effing know. You know what I mean? Like why wouldn't I overthink it? I kind of have to, you know what I mean? And I also don't think we have the luxury of saying something's obvious.
Let's assume
kind of the same,
Let's assume 2 things are correct. Let's assume John Palancar saying the bookends thing is correct. That would put San Francisco in the front of the book, right? Let's assume Byron's thing was correct about the value of the gems determining the difficulty of the puzzles. Pearl's probably the least valuable.
Yeah,
it's going to be one of the easiest. And when you were saying, Chris, like people are saying Chinatown is too obvious. Like, what's more obvious in Cleveland than the Greek cultural gardens? It's the only damn Greek thing in the city. What's more obvious than that? So if we're pretending that San Francisco is easier than that, then Chinatown's your only answer. But then you run into other problems, like Portsmouth Square is a perfect place to bury a cask. It's a perfect place to dig, and it's covered in concrete now. And same with that one across from that church. I forget the name of it. The one with the big statue in the middle of the park.
Oh, that's St. Mary's.
Yeah, St. Mary's. It's covered in concrete now. Like
it's it's not.
Not completely.
Well, I mean,
not
completely, and but nothing. It doesn't change materially, but a wall was removed, and if there's definitely been work there. There's been opportunity, like a tree was removed near where I particularly think it is. So yeah, they like anything, they all suffer from 40 years of
change. And George, you might think that's concrete because that soil is hella hard to get through. I think it's like
remembering incorrectly.
You might be thinking of a different, but
I got taken to like 7 different parks. I don't remember.
Totally. And I'm not saying there's definitely concrete in there, but there's spots, but like Chris is saying, I think that some things have changed, but who knows? But the other thing I was thinking before I forget, and I also want to hear Sean's, like where you think it is in Golden Gate Park, is that, this GH thing, like, I think Matt says he thinks that's Great Highway. I mean, I'm 100% convinced that it's Ghirardelli, that it's the first two letters of Ghirardelli. And I think it's telling you to look behind Ghirardelli, which would be pretty obvious. Or is it telling you that we have to reverse things? Is it an indicator that things are yin and yang in this particular puzzle? In the, I don't know about the verse, but maybe in the image. And this is just food for thought.
Duality.
I don't have, right, the polar opposites.
I mean,
So
that
just
would
some
go with the rest of the
some food
runes,
for
right? The
thought.
runes are reversed. They're upside down. They're all kinds of weirdness.
Right. So are we missing this key reversing element that the GH is obviously or maybe in Palancar's mind, he's like, dudes, why haven't you guys just like reversed blah blah blah? You know what I mean? And
Used a mirror. I'm sure everyone's
used a
done all
mirror. I
that.
did the mirror thing.
Yeah, I'm sure everyone's done a lot of those things. So if there is something like that left, it's going to be pretty lateral.
How do you mean?
Because we've probably tried all of the like really right brainy things on it, right? Like I've counted the blocks. I've like done, this or that thing. But when you have to start thinking, when someone who's like super right brained is like trying to tell you something, they're going to tell you in a way that you need to engage your right brain to meet. Whereas it's like if someone tries to tell you, because all right, so I'm going to butcher the hell out of this, but they're like the part of your brain that makes decisions is different from the part of your brain that's rational. So that's why they call it like when you make a decision with your gut, there's like, that's like part of your right brain.
Okay.
And then when like the part of your brain, it's like your neocortex, that's like your rational brain. They're on different hemispheres. So if I'm trying to describe something to you rationally, I'm not going to engage the part of your brain that says, that gut instinct part of your brain. It's going to just not pay attention to me trying to give you a rational argument. You might accept it as a rational argument, but it's not going to feel right. And I think a lot of that is how it sort of plays out when people are trying to trade theories, because someone's made a decision with their gut that they believe in, and then someone else's rational brain says like, no, that doesn't work. But my point was that if an artist is using their artistic skills and their right brain to tell you something, and we're approaching it with our left brain to try to understand it, there's going to be a disconnect there. And you have to like engage your right brain, think laterally to like be on the same level as the person who's trying to tell you something. Sorry, hopefully that wasn't just total.
You're one interesting mofo. I will tell you that, Chris. I like talking to you a lot because you make me think differently. And like you know what you do is you elevate the conversation and press thinking. And you just don't get that often. That's really cool.
I mean, the hard part about what you're saying is you kind of have to know the artist's brain as well. Because like 40 people can look at a Dali painting 40 different ways, interpret it 40 different ways, but nobody knows what Dali means unless Dali goes, "Oh, that's for children."
Yeah. It spells Boston in the painting,
Yeah.
right? Like that's the level that it's at, and it's unfortunate, but
damn it.
Here we are.
I know. Okay, Sean, tell us, where are you at?
I mean, I'm agreeing with what you guys are saying, which is that a lot of us latch on to one theory that we love or whatever it is that the way we see things. And so I think the challenge is like for us individually to even as one person see it multiple ways. Like as soon as like Brett starts talking about the G and the H are backwards, in my head, I'm going, the reason for that is my theory, right? But it's better just to take a step back and be like, instead of doing that, just listen to it and say, well, what could all these reasons be? Like, when you're saying like all this stuff about it, Chris, I'm like, yeah, like it could mean you have to be behind something. It could mean, you know, you have to flip something, reverse something. It could mean a lot of different things beyond the one thing that I think it means, which is that I think it's an indicator you need to flip the hands of the dragon and it spells out CP. For my solve, my solution would be Chinese pavilion.
CP.
But I would like
No,
to look
pavilion.
beyond that to like look at other people's ideas, because I'm not married to any of my ideas. Like I want to keep that brain thinking, even though it's really hard to do sometimes.
Didn't Matt used to tell me that the Chinese pavilion wasn't there? It was moved or something?
It was built, but then it wasn't dedicated until after. So like, was it there at the, it's like somehow the secret always tends to find the like fringe where things like it might have been there, but like might not officially have been like, you know,
The
like
Chinese
just,
pavilion?
yeah, just
It's like written
weird
in water,
things.
right?
Yeah. And then there's
So-
the same pavilion in Houston. So like, is this, and then all of a sudden, is it a theme? Do we have like, okay, great. Like it's so hard.
But it was a Chinese pavilion. It just wasn't the Chinese pavilion. Is that what you're saying?
I think it had been built, but it hadn't been, because like they had to bring the parts over and they had to put it together, right? They had to like erect it and build it. So it was either in 81, it either was in progress or it had been built, but the official dedication, like if you find the Golden Gate Park like documents, the official like dedication where they probably like cut a ribbon and shit wasn't until 1982.
Okay. Wow.
We
Interesting.
know the exact date when Byron hid that one. Is that the one where he was on a date and we might know the actual date? Or was that a different city where he left the date? Didn't he leave a date to go hide one?
I think we believe that's Chicago now.
Okay.
Originally, definitely people did think that was San Francisco, but
See,
not sure.
we've made a lot of assumptions, and then judging from this damn manuscript, I have no idea. I have no idea now.
Looking
And we
forward
can't get
to
Sandy
seeing
to
it.
really say. Like it's, who knows? We've made a lot of assumptions, and like the bad thing about this puzzle is you do have to piece together information, like that date thing. We had to piece together information, so everybody always assumed it was in San Francisco because that was the information we had, and then we have a little bit of new information, so we're like, okay, it's more likely to be Chicago, and then like some of us can take that as an assumption, and then other people in the community take it as a fact, and it gets muddied, and I don't know, who knows.
It would be nice to know for sure, but yeah, we can't know for sure, but it definitely puts a damper on any solution if it has something in a gray area where you don't even know if it's applicable. Like if you guys were to tell me the Chinese pavilion definitely wasn't there, I'd have to change my whole solve because mine 100% it needs it. It's not gonna work without it.
I like that reverse because I've seen those letters in the clause too. And I like that reverse idea and how maybe the GH informs that. That's pretty cool.
But I
so
like
you're
hearing other people's ideas too, because it's like I'm so stuck in like thinking that's what it is. But and that's part of the reason why it's like I want to hear other people's like full solves and stuff for like other parts of town and stuff. Because a lot of people are like, well, I'm because of this reason, and they give you like 1 or 2 lines for the reason why. And I'm like, well, everything for me works in Golden Gate Park. So I want to see like a competing solution where I get convinced and I go, yep, I love that solution too.
Totally. We should, we get a lot of San Francisco solves sent to us. We should add you to that list. If you're, we get, there's a lot of cool ideas. That's all I can say. Or people, maybe they should just reach out to you directly and send them to
You
you.
want to be our San Francisco person? Because I will be glad to hand you the emails.
I'm happy. I'll drive to San Francisco anytime.
Come on out.
Yeah.
Come on out.
Yeah, I'm bad at just tear into it.
But I know people are really convinced for certain things, so I'm sure they have a lot of substantial evidence. And I think just a lot of it's not out in public.
Well,
I've read some new interesting ideas. it hasn't completely like blown me away, the things that I've read over the last year or something like that, but I've definitely seen some new cool stuff.
I mean, people
Have
definitely
you
have
read my
ideas
blog?
What's that?
Just kidding. I said, have you read
blog?
my blogs? Yeah.
Yeah, they're shit.
Oh, they're like all San Francisco.
They're shit, bro. You got nothing. Of
Yeah,
course, dude.
you came here, destroyed me on the Twain one.
What? What did I do? I did?
Yeah, we had like a stream about it. I made like a post about what I think the object of Twain's attention is, and then we did you made me do a live stream, and then you put up a poll, and the comments just like like just hit like 150 comments of people just so pissed that I would even possibly present this idea. It was pretty hilarious.
You know why, dude? Because your ego is becoming a problem.
Yeah, yeah.
You can't be perfect all the time, bro. You have to show some tats too pretty soon.
I'm sorry, Chris. There can only be one king of the secret, and that is Brett.
Yes. Oh yeah, for sure.
Great imperial lead of the secret. I submit to you.
Emperor.
I mean, like there are people who are dead set in their ideas for San Francisco. San Francisco's dig, their dig schedule is packed. Like
yeah,
for
it's
the
like
rest of the year and more.
Yeah, I know. And it sucks for those of us who no longer live in San Francisco, because it's like, I don't know when I'm going to be out there. I can't like plan 2 years in advance for it.
Yeah. And
Nice
like,
they let you dig at all, though.
Huh?
It's nice they let us dig at all in San Francisco.
It
though.
is.
It's true. It's very true.
Lucky.
But
Bless them
I
all.
think a lot of like I now hope it'll die down in the next couple of years, because it seems like a lot of the especially recent people who are digging, like this wasn't a problem before, but it is now, are just guesses. They're just people who want to dig, right? They're people who want their shot. Whereas before, when everything was open, they weren't packed at all. I think COVID happened, people sat and waited. Now it's packed, and maybe next year it'll die down.
Well, they did like a whole thing. You had like a like, what was it called? A draft. Yeah, lottery. Yeah. Like it was just, it's nuts. Like I love that they are into it, and you get like a park ranger there with you. And like, I'm glad that they're doing that, because it's better than clandestine holes in the night. But
yeah, I really wish St. Augustine would do something like that, but I doubt they any city. The only one that I could see doing it might be New York.
Yeah,
but
they're big enough. They could, but
they probably won't.
What's there? I don't really know. Sorry, guys, I'm getting a beer, so I went on that thing. What is New York like these other cities where they're getting pissed off, or is it too big of a city for them to know?
I don't think New York gives a shit.
They don't care, right?
I think they're too big, and the departments don't talk to each other. So like one department will get pissed off about, one problem, the other will get pissed off about the other problem, but they don't know about the problem as a whole.
Okay.
And like people can't even agree on a borough. So like they're just all everyone's just all over. There's so much space to San Francisco's 7 miles by 7 miles. Like you can't you can't go too far.
It's small. It's smallish.
Some of the major parks, people aren't going to have the balls to dig. Like nobody's digging up Bowling Green, Yeah. So
I would.
Yeah. You want to go dig up Bowling Green?
3 a.m.
next to the giant bowl. Let's do
3 a.m. baby. Just like New Orleans.
Get them all to do like a circle pit around us. And just provide cover.
Hold up their coats.
You need like a David Copperfield thing where it's like the mirrors like make it look like you're not there, and Brett's just like digging in the back and someone's pointing at like an elephant. It's like,
now I make Bowling Green disappear. It's just a pile of dirt now.
Didn't he make the Statue of Liberty disappear? I mean, if he can do that.
Yeah.
We can make all of Bowling Green disappear just for one night.
That's probably what happened in the New York cast. That's why nobody can find it. Made the Statue of Liberty disappear and just forgot to return that
field. Yeah, I think the interesting thing you guys were kind of touching on too is people are guessing, and like even it's tempting, right? Because when they give you the access, it's tempting. But if you don't have an exact spot, your odds of hitting it, like say you think it's within a 50-foot by 50-foot area, why it's tough. Do you submit a request? Do you not? I think you have to kind of work out where it is first, or go and probe and hope that you hit something and then you have a reason to go there.
Matt Sparks did the math where if you took just a plain football field and then gave everybody in the community a dig permit to dig their 2x2 whatever hole in that football field, in order to dig up the entire football field, everyone would have to have dug their spot, and then we would have to pay an additional, like, it was like $8 million in fees to dig multiple more times. Like, it's way less than a shot in the dark just to dig a random hole.
Yeah.
But I that boils down to, like, what do you want out of this hunt? Do you want to solve it, or do you want to have fun? Because if you want to have fun, then screw it, dig whatever hole you want, with permission, and have fun. Go to San Francisco. I think that, like, the people who are in it for solving it, like, we're gonna be around long enough to where, I mean, we'll see this stuff come and go. It'll be kind of annoying, and then I don't know.
But that's the thing. Like, we're always one condo development away from it being, like, lost to time. So, and we might are, like, many of them may already be. So,
Yeah.
On the other hand, there's this like anxiety almost of, like, well, shit, if I don't find it now, it might not be there next year,
Yeah.
wherever it is.
Well,
So,
I mean, like, we say that because there are so many ideas where it's like, where we run into a brick wall and then we make that excuse, like maybe it was construction or whatever. But if you look at the three that were solved, even if you're including Boston, they're not really in areas that are going to be developed. They're not really in areas that are going to be changed. Boston was a baseball field that was resurfaced. That doesn't mean they're going to dig up the whole field or whatever. They're just going to resurface the ball field. So
I do wonder, like, if the 3 to 3.5 feet was, like, intentional to avoid some of those things. I don't want to, like, make assumptions that he thought that it would be this hunt that was going to be around forever, but it seems quite deep.
yeah,
Like 3, that's like you're like literally halfway to, like, how deep they bury humans. So
Totally seems deep. I always thought that too. I'm like, dude, I thought you wanted us to find these, and like
I
release
always thought
another
he just
book.
forgot how, like, I think he, like, just forgot how deep he buried them, and he just said, "I'll cover my base."
yeah, whatever.
yeah, it's like at least.
And I
But
think,
like-
like, a half is just because the thing's about a half.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
Like an
it also
extra.
probably is a lot to do with, like, you see people who go out and dig a hole and they post it online and they're like, I dug my 3-foot hole, and you're like, that's 18 inches deep. Like, nobody is good at gauging depths like that. So he's probably like, I dug for 2
True.
hours. It had to be 5 feet deep at least.
Yeah, because, like, how long would it take him to have, like, had to dig 3 feet
Right.
and get away in this, like,
Right.
in the night wearing a high vis vest or whatever? Like,
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, the only ones
Even-
we have evidence of do not appear to have been 3 feet deep.
No, not at all.
Like a couple feet, right, max?
Maybe just
Max.
over a foot. Yeah.
But that could be wear and tear. I mean, on a baseball field, you say they build up over time.
Yeah.
George, I think you said, do they? Don't they get trampled down over time?
Well, they do, but they get trampled down, and then they get the clay dries out and dust, so you end up with, like, divots, and then they just bring in more sand and level it, and then build up the slope for the pitcher's mound and all that stuff. So they're adding dirt, but they're adding it slowly. But over time, it could raise up. Probably won't, but it could. I don't know. I'm not a geologist. I just
Sean,
know
what is
when I had baseball fields, I brought in dirt.
yeah, because they constantly get ground down with wear over time. Sean, what is your twain?
My twain is something that will probably get even more hate than whatever Chris's was. That got
Sweet.
hate.
I
We
don't
love that
know.
here.
You want
Go
to
back
that.
and find that post. It'll be a good. It'll be interesting to read.
I probably just moved
horrible.
on and didn't realize what was going on.
Yeah, because you didn't get the,
Sorry.
like, constant Facebook notifications and all the vitriol.
That
Did we make sure
sucks
to
for
tag
dude.
you in it? Because that
Yeah. Oh
So
yeah.
the short of it is
Awesome.
that my twain is the Chinese pavilion. If I go into why, and I will, and it's kind of, y'all probably think I'm crazy. I'm trying to follow my theory, right? And I've kind of talked to George about the theory on the previous episodes. I'm trying to use the words in the book, I believe the back of the book has some merit. And so I did it. And where it led me was kind of a weird place I was expecting to be led. But it circled me around to the Chinese pavilion in a way that Anagram Guy will probably be my fan. But anyway, so what I did was I looked in the book for, words that are in the poem. So it was the word object. If you go to evil necromancers, for me, I think that, he spells necromancer a certain way to include the word mark in there. And it's the key line for me is the object of an evil necromancer's affections is not even offered a life of bliss in the city beneath the sea. And those who bear the mark of the evil necromancer just end up having to sleep on the couch. So again, I think he's mentioning Mark from Mark Twain, and that object of affections matching object of attention, to me, triggered something where I said, let me see what's happening here. Is there something to pursue here? And so when you see the object of an evil necromancer's affections is not even offered a life of bliss, I said, well, that's interesting. Let me look up this word bliss. Why are they bringing attention to bliss? And why are they bringing attention specifically to someone who's not even offered a life of bliss? So if you search for the word bliss, along with Mark Twain, there's a famous Mark Twain quote where he says that, I want to get the right thing. Let's see. He says, I hope that all of us may eventually be together in everlasting peace and bliss, except the inventor of the telephone. So I've been led to a telephone, right? And so from there, I was like, well, why telephone, right? So if you look in the book, there is a telephone in the book from Chinatown, right? There's a very specific telephone that he's included in the book on purpose, bringing attention to telephone. And I was going off thinking that Chinese pavilion is important because of the CP that I believe the claws represent and some of the other clues that led me to that area in the first place. And so Chinese pavilion is a perfect anagram for China phone is evil, which I know you'll say it feels like, yeah, I know I'm going to get the hate for it. And so it sounds ridiculous, but I'm trying to get into what I think he might have been at in his head. That's why I'm not worried about anyone stealing my San Francisco self, because it sounds ridiculous even as I say it. But to me, it makes sense. China phone is evil. Almost exactly, what that quote is getting at when it says that, I hope all of us may be together in everlasting peace and bliss, except the inventor of the telephone, because he thinks the inventor of the telephone is evil, which circles back to the evil necromancer. Ridiculous, right?
I don't know. I mean,
I'm going to put a poll up right now.
The issue is that it's always 0%, vague.
0% agreeing with me until we find it.
But not so. What's interesting about it is, of course, I'm listening to you and thinking of it in my own context, and like what I think the object of Twain's attention is next to an old AT&T building, but it wasn't AT&T. It was like Pacific Telephone and Telegraph or whatever, or Pacific Bell or something that was at California and just west of Grant Street. Or Grant Avenue, right? So then it's like what you're saying makes sense to me for myself. I was like, oh, interesting that he mentioned telephone, because like there's a friggin' telephone building right next to what I think Twain is. So like that's what makes it so hard.
It's hard because we always see things through the lens of what you like, right? So it's like the other day, right? And I was listening to George talk to the other guest that was on the other week about Roanoke, and he was talking about lines on the football field. And of course, I'm looking at it through my lens because I think it's on the football field. So when he said there's 20 lines in the Roanoke verse, to me, I go, there's 21 lines on a football field, right? So I'm looking at it through my lens. And then I go, okay, well, beyond that, what's the 21st line of the Roanoke poem? It's your goal. What's the 21st line on a football field? It's the goal line, which is where I think it's buried. So obviously, like,
all right,
I have enough self-awareness to know I'm looking at it through my lens of I already think it's there. So anything I see that I like, I'm going to attach it to my theory, which is, obviously confirmation bias. So
Confirmation bias is tough. This is my reconstructed 1980s map. Is this backwards for you or just for me?
No,
Hard to see, but
Pacific Telephone
I can read.
is right there.
Yeah.
So there was a Pacific Telephone building next to what I think the object of Twain's invention is. Just fine.
That's kind of interesting. Yeah. I mean, I'm open to being very partially right and not fully right.
I
I'm
think
also
we
open
had
to be completely wrong.
I think we had Pac Bell as our telephone provider out here, if I'm not mistaken. Somebody can probably help me out in the
probably
in the
Pacific
comments. Pacific Bell, I think, something
Yeah.
like that.
Well, like if you go way back, it was Pacific there was
Pac
it was
Tel.
like there was it was like Pacific Telephone and Telegraph. There's a on Bush across from the number 2 fire station is a old building that has like a 1908 plaque on it that says like something about Pacific Telephone or Telegraph.
It might be a thing where like when Ma Bell was broken up, they just split and then they gave themselves weird names. It is. Pac Bell is the Pacific Telephone and Telegraph Company. So it's the same thing. I just looked it up.
And even if my point's completely off, maybe the fact that he chose to feature this Chinatown telephone, and it sounds like your Saul's in Chinatown itself too. Maybe that alone is enough to lead some credence to your ideas.
I always thought that telephone was from New York, but
It is.
still it's a Chinatown telephone, so it's interesting. It's worth noodling on.
If we're bookending and we're reversing things,
I think that telephone's still there in New York. I think John found it.
True.
Once.
Yeah. Bookends. Good point.
who knows? What else?
Sorry, I'm just listening. I'm just having fun. Listening.
Well, I mean, the bookends are interesting
George already hit the
because
button that says never invite Sean back on again. What the hell was that?
No. I mean,
No.
so my thing is, I love to hear people don't believe it, but I love to hear alternative ideas, and I love to hear like people talk about how they think about the puzzle. But I hate it when they're like, and this is right, and they give no
I'm definitely
leeway,
not like that.
right? You're aware of that, like it could be wrong, and it's the same way like all 4 of us talk about our ideas knowing that we could be wrong. What irritates me are the people who are like, no, this is correct and you just need to accept it, and the old way of thinking's wrong, and like, do you have a cask? That's the stuff that I hate. Like the dude from Roanoke, right? It was one of the oddest things I've heard, and I didn't understand a lot of it, like the guy last week with the angles. But he was very self-aware, and he was very comfortable being like, I could be wrong, and I like to be challenged, and let's just, whatever. That I feel like what's the point of having a conversation with somebody that doesn't think they can be wrong?
Yeah, to me, like debate's not as fun as open conversation where we're all working towards the end goal.
Yeah.
and you don't get anywhere when someone tells you something and you say, well, it's not that because it's actually what I think it is. Like you never.
Yeah.
The conversation stops right there. You're like, okay, well, we don't agree at the end.
Yeah.
I hate it when people do that to me, like when I'm just trying to explain something from my point of view, and somebody like the comment is always like, well, not that so much. It's actually, but you know what I mean? And so they interrupt you while you're telling your thing and then tell you that you're stupid and wrong in like 2 words. And I vow to never do that. I want people to know that they're heard. That's all.
I don't
And you
understand. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, and you never know when one little thing they're gonna say is gonna help you with one of your ideas too. So it's like,
Absolutely.
George's guest last week sort of lost me after the first base thing, and I did like the first base thing, and I liked when he said runway. Like in my thinkings, I think there's some parallels to the Wright brothers because of course we talk about them at the end of the verse. So when he said that, I was like, yeah, that's cool. And then he sort of lost me, but it's like I stayed tuned through the whole thing because he's talking about a puzzle that I have an interest in, and it's fun.
And the other thing, like I was saying before, is I like getting pressed. I like getting pressed in a different direction. And sometimes it takes somebody like to tell me something like 10 times. And then I finally go, fuck, yeah, exactly. So I just like hearing different theories and stuff like that. And yeah, a lot of the stuff that I get and I review seems a little wacky and stretchy and stuff like that. But who cares? I'll just tell you that, like, here's what I think. And I think it's a little complicated for somebody just reading this book and trying to solve the puzzle. Like, would Byron go to that extent?
That's exactly it too, right? We're trying to get into Byron's head. A man who's passed away will never get the answers. And I think a lot of times people try to solve like what they want the puzzle to be instead of what it is.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
if somebody draws me a certain way that I don't like the puzzle, maybe I think it's a dumb puzzle, but if I think Byron did it, we have to pursue that. Like, to me, I'm trying to get into his head. That's my end game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, the kind of
because you made a puzzle. that's what it is. What's like reasonable to do to like actually physically achieve and what's not. And sometimes people who just do The Secret, haven't tried any other puzzles, can build up these like really elaborate solutions without the like extra context that like in order to have made this be the puzzle, it would have been like almost impossible.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
I think yep. Go ahead, Sean.
In the few like treasure hunts that I have solved, the final answer was never what I thought it was in the beginning. And so like the ability to adapt and change the way I thought was the reason I ended up winning some treasure hunts. And so I think with this one, it's the same thing. Like, I can tell you what I think it is all day, but I love being on here and hearing the three of you tell me what you think it is, because you might say one thing where I go, yeah, that's better than what I have, or that's different than what I have, and I want to pursue that.
The difference between The Secret and the puzzles that you're working, which you've solved, is what we talk about all the time. Once you have a right answer with one of those treasure hunts, you know it. And you all of a sudden you have to change your perspective. Where in The Secret, there's no way to know. Right? You get step one correct, there's no way to know. Yeah.
Certain things though, right? I mean, I know there's people that are always going to have alt theories, but there's certain image matches that are hard to argue aren't an image match.
Latitude, longitude is a good one.
Still do it.
People still do it. Yeah. Hard to say, but yeah, some people will still argue.
Like 99% of people, some of these things are like undeniable. You know what I mean?
Well, like I like to break hunters up into like three groups. There's people who are only going to be around for like a year. There's people who are going to be around for 2 or 3, and then there's people who are going to be around for the long haul. And the people who are only going to be around for a year, they're the ones who are like the St. Augustine paintings in Key West. They're only going to be here for a year, so like why, if you don't want to put forth the effort to learn what's in that painting and like how it all works and yada yada yada, you're not gonna stick around long. So what's the point of engaging in this conversation?
Because they don't want to start over. They don't want to take the time to understand how the puzzle works and start over. They decided it was Key West. Nobody agreed with them. They're like, F you guys, and they take off. You know what I mean? Because it's the same
with a lot of the alternative theory people. They're only going to be around like 3 or 4 years, and then they're going to give up or whatever. So I've got it in my mind now where like I'll help all 3 of these groups of people, but I'm only going to spend a specific amount of time with the first 2 because like it's pointless. What's the point? Like if I'm not going to change your mind, why? I don't know. I say all that to say it's irritating how many people are still saying that's in Key West.
What
percent came up a couple times last week, right?
Yeah, it's crazy. Jesus Christ.
Graydon says, hi, Eve, Evie by the way. Graydon says his biggest pet peeve is when you post a question for discussion and people just respond with their answer that has nothing to do with your question. And isn't that everything? Isn't that like, I mean, I don't even post questions anymore because I only do, I only post questions now because people are all fighting. And I'll post something positive and fun, to like get people's minds from off of like bitching at each other. But like,
Even I
it's
used to be
so
able to do that.
interesting.
Remember, I used to make these big, long, like thought-provoking posts for the community
Yes.
that were all like
You don't-
uplifting and let's try this new thing. And every time I make them now, people are just like, "It's Peoria, and you're wrong, and shut up."
No, what they're expecting is that you're going to bring forth some piece of information that nobody could procure before, like the manuscript, or so you just, George, just don't post anything unless it's like totally like inside information. Okay.
Okay, I can do
Yes, that's better.
that. I'll do that.
When is the meetup again?
10th.
10th of September.
Yeah.
Sean, are you
Just
going?
before September 11th.
I'll make it.
You are
It will
going.
be-
How could I miss it?
It
We're
will be the most important event in September's history.
I haven't figured out how I'm getting there yet or what I'm doing, but I will get there.
we call it 9/10.
But it's
Just never
it's-
forget. It's going to be fun. Never forget.
it's
Yes.
September and verse 9, so it should have been September 9th, right?
what?
No, that's a Friday. I'm kind of scared now because like I set all this stuff up with the Mason Lodge when there were like 30 people that were going to show up, and now there's like 100, and now I've got to go to the Mason Lodge next week and be like, dude, it's a little bigger than.
Cool.
We
That's
need
where it
service,
is.
man.
Yeah, so we're gonna meet at the Mason Lodge and do like a random everybody get together, and the John Frazier is gonna come. A couple
Cool.
of people from the city are gonna come.
That's
and then
awesome.
we're gonna go to the gallery because it's like walking distance. And the reason I love the Mason Lodge is like on the weekend in September in St. Augustine you can't find parking, but the Mason Lodge has a giant private lot.
Little did Byron Price in like 1982 know that 40 years from then, that George Ward would be like holding press conferences in cask cities and meetups. Like you're like,
Dude
man,
was like, this book failed and it's horrible and I hate it. And 40 years later, I'm like, we're gonna team up with the city of St. Augustine.
exactly. He's like, if he were alive, by the way, then none of us would know each other. I don't think we'd be doing any of this. I think he would have given out solutions in the hopes of, he wanted to see people. He was an awesome dude.
I
He
don't
wanted to see
know.
people solve them.
alt theory, maybe he faked his death to get away from the secret.
Andy
Sorry,
Kaufman.
He's the 13th cask.
Andy Kaufman,
All right.
right? Doesn't everybody say that he faked his death?
It's in the middle of the podcast. Byron's just gonna bust through that door and be like, "Here I
Oh
come
my
to save
God.
the day."
Dude, I would crap.
Here's
if
the
that
list
happened.
with the rest of the cities. It was in my
Yeah,
pocket the
oh.
whole time.
No, it would be like Elvis level. Like there'd be sightings. We would have seen him in a deli in New York, in a Chinese restaurant in San Francisco. Like we would have had sightings.
Byron
There
is
are-
George. George is Byron.
That should have been Matt's project.
Wait a
Like
minute.
Matt did those Fair Folk sightings. What he should have done is Byron sightings, just randomly posting pictures of Woody Allen, being like, "I saw Byron."
That could be a fun thing to do in the Facebook group to break up the fighting, is to like have
Yes.
fun sightings or something. Find a thing for people to latch onto.
Yeah, ghosts.
Byron Price sightings in the wild that have nothing to do with like just Byron Price like doing ordinary everyday things, like
There's something that Chris
Byron
does.
Price
but he
at a
does it-
bingo tournament.
There's something Chris does privately that I wish he would do publicly. You know that pattern in the Milwaukee ladies, like in her collar? It's just a generic breezeway pattern, right? That's
You talking-
everywhere.
Oh, the breezeway. Yeah.
Yeah, he posts that wherever he sees it, and he calls.
You're talking
it like
Chris
the-
Preacher.
Chris Preacher, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
where because he travels around and wherever he sees it, he posts it, and he'll be like, "It's the Atlanta cask. It's the Nashville cask." I wish he would do that publicly, because I like one of the prisons I work at in Daytona has them too. So I took a selfie of me in prison standing in front of those things, and I was like, "It's the prison cask."
Can you like hook us up with cool prison things?
Prison? You want like a shank?
I feel like, yeah, what's cool in prisons where we can like use you for
honey buns. I can give you some prison phones.
honey buns?
Yeah.
That doesn't sound, what is that?
Honey, the pastry.
Oh,
Oh,
okay. Thought you were
It's
going in
me,
a different
Brett. That's my
direction there.
nickname. Is Honey Buns.
Oh my God, never speak like that again. Dude, have you watched?
Conjugal visits.
Yeah. Can you hook me up with one of those? Conjugal visits.
Yeah.
George, have you watched or have you
Go in the
listened
Brett
to
Ziegler Memorial Boudoir back there.
that? There should be awesome hookups in the boudoir. Have you listened to Shit Town yet, George?
You keep telling me to, and I haven't.
Dude,
Because yes, I will.
It is
I will do it
best.
right now.
that guy reminds me of you, not in certain ways, but like 100%. And like, what about you guys, Chris and Sean? Have you listened to Shit Town, the podcast?
is it a band I haven't heard of?
No, it's a podcast. It is so good. Although I will say some people don't like, some people get like an episode in and go, I can't deal with this. But try to stick it out. It is the best podcast that's ever been done. And
Is it just called, it's by Serial.
Yeah, I think so.
I'll follow him.
The main dude reminds me of you,
Oh.
not in certain ways, but in like in other ways. Like,
Called S Town
yeah, sorry.
because they don't.
Okay,
The story
Graydon Kramer
follows
likes
a man
it.
named John who despises his Alabama town. Is that what it is?
Yes,
Okay.
All right.
I
But
do
it's,
hate Alabama.
it's dude. You will be shocked by
Is
this
it
guy.
fiction or is it real?
No, it's real.
Serial's all.
It is
real.
so good. Just trust me. Like if you like incredibly interesting people,
Okay.
Is it
this
as good as
guy
the first
is-
season, like the Adnan Syed one.
that was pretty good actually. I'm kind of a serial fan. I liked it.
You're
This is
you're a
better than that.
serialist.
Yes, I am. I liked so Serial was pretty good, although that broadcaster person, I can't, Koenig maybe, or Larry. Anyway, she kind of
Brian
she wasn't my favorite interviewer or person, but like this, trust me,
She was
I think you'll like
absolutely
it.
biased, and 100% biased. That
Yeah.
whole.
I think she might have like Sarah Koenig, right?
Yeah.
Sarah
Something
Koenig.
Koenig.
I think she had a thing for him. For him. Yeah, I think she came across to me like she had some kind of like crush on the dude. But and by the way,
when it was over, I was reading.
he
Reddit.
totally did it.
Yeah, it was
He
like
totally
100%
did it.
He did it.
It's 100% he did it. Let's stop this stuff with the dude from Wisconsin as well. I don't know if you guys watched Making a Murderer. That guy did it too. I don't want to hear any crap.
Sorry, Brett and I are we're like middle-aged women when it comes to true crime.
West
Like,
Memphis.
don't get me started
3.
on the West Memphis 3. They totally murdered those
They
boys.
totally did it. That dude should not be free now. Like OJ definitely did it. Yes, Bobby. OJ.
So
Let-
there was
that's
a
an easy
weird
one.
conspiracy theory that it was OJ's son, and OJ was covering up for him.
Yeah, there was a thing on that recently.
You guys should start like a true crime podcast or something.
But like one where we just say it's like
Bullshit.
Yeah, where you're
Yeah,
just like this is obvious. This person
is-
did it.
it's
You know, like,
clear.
that's the whole
We
episode.
couldn't
It's
do any better
Occam's
than
razor.
What is it? My favorite murderer. We couldn't be any better than those girls, who just like get drunk and just trash everything.
Yeah. I love watching drunk history, so this would be the same thing. Be
Yeah,
like drunk true crime.
Are you guys
True
into
Crime
true crime?
Tuesdays. Let's do that.
Sean and Chris, do you guys?
I've seen a little. I saw Making a Murderer. Not as into it as you guys, but
You're not into the
interesting.
you're into the big ones. You're into the big kind of popular ones, but you don't get like me and George go deep into this
Yeah.
stuff. Like we know you say a name, we not only have it solved in our minds, but like we know we can tell you the details and the dates of the.
it.
I don't know why it's weird.
Forget
Yeah.
true crime. You guys should be detectives.
We would be very bad at that. Just like you
Well-
would give us a lineup. Which one of these is the murderer? All of them, sir. They are all. They're all
Here's your
guilty.
pilot.
To the shooting squad.
So I
Two
didn't.
ex-treasure hunters get hired by the San Francisco Police Department to solve true crimes.
Honestly, that could sell.
Bobby, I watch Snapped. That's kind of like lightweight. So you don't have to worry about your wife watching Snapped.
So
I will tell you that I did make a comment on a true. So I'm totally. Everybody know Unresolved Mysteries on Reddit. It's the true crime kind of place. And I made a comment in there, and some real life investigator contacted me and asked me to help him. He's like, did this person answer you? And if they answered you, can you provide me this information? And I did. And then they were also asking me to help them. They wanted to do a podcast, and they were trying to get me to help them do like a podcast and a show. And so I did a little bit of research for them, and it never panned out. They couldn't sell the show to any of the big, I guess, sponsors or stuff like that. But I've also called in 3 tips from being in Reddit, like Reddit discussions. And then you go on and you talk about things about like, hey, is it possible that this person's responsible for it? And I've actually spoken to law enforcement, and it is the weirdest thing going, dude, I know you're super busy right now because you're like a policeman investigator. You know what I mean? Like, they're out there. That's the real world. And here's some guy sitting on his freaking couch, like going, I think it's this. But I thought I had a good couple of tips. So I've actually spoken to law enforcement in two separate cases.
So that's how
found
Brett
tips.
approaches true crime. Let me show you how I approach it. Me and Brett used to have this chat group with a bunch of friends, and we were all really into true crime. And Brett would say things, and then I would go and do things to sort of poke fun at Brett. Like, there was this big thing about Roadhouse. So I bought brettzingler.com, and I photoshopped the Roadhouse poster with a bunch of Brett's faces on it and just put that online. When the Golden State Killer was caught, The Onion ran an article that said the California Highway Patrol or whatever finally caught him by going to iamthegoldenstatekiller.com and seeing the guy's face, but they didn't buy the domain.
Oh, shit.
So when that article came out, I bought iamthegoldenstatekiller.com, and I just put a picture of Brett on there.
Love it.
I love it.
Right,
It's
you're
so
like,
good.
you haven't been arrested.
Dude. Or one of these law enforcement guys going, dude, what are you calling me for, you stupid idiot?
No, it's because you have that like deep radio voice. Like, I'm surprised they couldn't sell a podcast just based on your voice.
I have no idea. Lots of years of smoking and drinking is probably where that came from.
Somebody just posted a question about you calling into America's Most Wanted. Then they put John Walsh, and that immediately made me think of his son. And I hate true crime.
Yeah. Then I think about what I'm actually like obsessing over, and I hate myself for it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And then I'm joking about it, but I don't mean it in a, you know what I mean? I just,
Yeah. But my
sometimes I
bad
get-
thing is, like, I get so deep into this stuff the same way I do The Secret, and I start poking around in places that I shouldn't.
It's like engaging the same like parts, whatever it is.
Yeah.
That
Puzzles.
like dopamine search that we're going for.
Yeah.
It's like I need to solve something. My brain will release chemicals.
Yes.
Like, I'll feel good.
Yes.
Okay, where am I going? Like,
You hit the
treasure
nail on the
hunt,
head.
true crime, like whatever.
Dude, I have this weird thing in the back of my head that it's at one point in my life, I'm going to solve one of these big disappearances, like Maura Murray or the Springfield 3 or something like that, or the Zodiac. I'm going to solve the Zodiac. And you know what's awesome about the Zodiac? The ciphers too.
I can't
And
believe
the
that one was
ciphers.
finally solved.
That one, dude, did you see how that guy did? Yeah, I'm
That was
sure you guys
crazy.
did.
Yeah,
You're the
he
one
couldn't have
that
done
sent it to me, Brad.
I sent it to you guys.
You're the one
That
that
was
wrote it. How do
unbelievable. I can't believe they solved my cipher. I mean, his cipher.
You
I mean,
can solve a
they couldn't have done that
letter
without computers.
No.
He
No
made
way.
too many mistakes.
Yeah,
Matt
and there
Price
were
would like us to
mistakes.
start with DB Cooper.
Do you think the mistakes were on purpose or no?
No, I don't. My personal
think he couldn't
opinion
spell?
is I just think he just made mistakes. I think he was just a lunatic that was a killer. And
I agree with that part.
I mean, I don't, maybe he did like, and you're saying what, to throw people off his trail?
To make
Or
it harder to solve.
could be. It could be. I just think he made mistakes because he wasn't, like he was a pretty good.
We more or less
Well,
know
the-
we misspelled words on purpose.
Yeah.
Whether or not he made mistakes in the ciphers, I'm not sure.
Well, there was that one part in the cipher where he like made a mistake and it would have been impossible to solve had they not used a computer and sort of reconfigured everything.
Yeah, that's what I was sort of playing off of.
And also there was a mistake in the solution that those guys posted in that YouTube video.
Oh, yeah.
Their solution had a mistake, and I was like going, "Oh my god, it's so easy." So I think they.
Didn't you post on the subreddit?
I did.
Yeah, okay.
I did. I don't know
Brett
if I was
caught
the one.
solver's mistake and then
I don't-
fixed it for him.
There's no way that somebody,
Did you
thought-
use a red pen?
Yes.
This has been a great talk about the secret.
We were.
Bobby Carroll would like to know who shot JR. That's probably a mystery we could solve real quick.
Wait, we
Who
know that.
shot JR. Well, you know that. I'm not old.
No.
Kristen
said it.
Shepard shot JR.
Yeah. They said it
There we
eventually.
go. We have
DB
solved
Cooper.
a true crime.
DB Cooper.
That was
Probably
Ben.
died.
According to some people.
That's retarded.
Man, that goes
You're-
deep.
My God. Are you kidding me?
I don't.
No, I don't mean you, but somebody thinks that.
A lot of
it's
people think
a
that. You
lot
would
of
be
people think that.
surprised.
You are kidding me.
It's a whole thing. Yep.
That's crazy. The force
Hashtag
people
all
are
theories.
nuts.
I think it's just hero worship too, though. Like we see it with Byron too. Like when you've seen a guy this long, you want him to be this mythical guy that's done absolutely everything perfect and amazing, or I guess it wouldn't be perfect, but pretty good robbery, got away, whether or not he survived or not.
That dude that was trying to make a show about the secret, Eric, whatever.
Yeah, I was going to ask about him. Yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
He was.
He got really like he found some sort of fibers that were tied back to a manufacturing plant that like he thinks he knows who DB Cooper was. Like on DB Cooper's tie, he found some like pieces of aluminum or something that were only used in the manufacture of a certain airplane for in a certain building.
Really?
And yeah, he went back and interviewed people that worked there back when it was like a proprietary metal. And they're pretty sure like there was only like 4 people who worked with the metal. I don't
That's
know.
kind of cool.
It would
He
be
was
so
also
crazy
in a
to commit a
freaking
crime
airplane.
like that, get away with it,
Yeah.
and never tell anyone. Like you think at some point you just tell someone, like you're about to die, and you just
Oh, I totally would.
yeah.
So
I
like,
can't keep my mouth shut.
I actually do enjoy watching Expedition Unknown. I think it's a good show, aside from all of the like nonsense around the secret. But like the recent episode they did about the like escape from Alcatraz guys, and like someone brought in is like, this is a photo of them in Argentina in like the 70s. Like, here you go. And
Oh, I saw
like-
that on a farm.
yeah,
Isn't it like they went to a farm in Argentina?
yeah, and they just like potentially like lived out there, like actually did like that kind of stuff is interesting. I find it like really cool, and it's like the DB Cooper stuff like fits into that same realm. And like I don't know,
I just
I think
can't
it's all
get into
cool.
the hype behind that show. It's like everything is super exciting and interesting, and we're gonna find out more about it after this, the sponsors.
I mean it's TV, so
Yeah.
they gotta get ratings, right?
Yeah.
Ooh, what's that? It's dirt. Oh,
Not everyone can handle just what are we at, 32 36 viewers?
I have no idea.
And,
Well,
yeah.
like, can't imagine why anybody would watch. We're at 45 on Facebook, and then 31 on YouTube. So there you go. It's your
70.
arms, is what it is. People come in when you bare your shoulders,
Sundays out, gun days out. That's what I say
Yes.
on Sunday fun day. It's always the tank top.
At least in the summer, guys. I don't know about you, but it's fucking hot here.
I feel like we've opened a
Like
new
sweating.
door for Sunday Fun Day. Like if you want to come in and talk about treasure hunts or true crime,
Why not? Like anything that like requires solving via logic. Like if you're into treasure hunts, like you're probably into those other things too. Like if your only goal is to watch this to learn about more about the secret, like go listen to the podcasts. Like I don't know what.
Right. I'm not into true crime because I'm like obsessed with like death and people dying. I want to figure something out. I want to someday, you know.
you get the same people in true crime that you do in The Secret too, where they're like, I
Yeah.
just learned
I've
about
solved
this. I just learned about this on a YouTube video, and I've solved the whole thing. And really, it's this old lady.
She speaks to me from the
Kentucky.
dead.
And
Yeah.
then they start flooding the police with tips.
Yeah.
You're describing the psychics and the people that believe in psychics in the true crime community.
Precogs. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm,
Yeah. That's exact. We have those in The Secret too.
yeah. Who was
We
it that
should-
asked
we
about
should
a
have
meeting?
that.
I think somebody in the comments asked about like doing a psychic reading for The Secret, which I tried to do that really hard.
That would be funny. That would just actually be fun.
Oh my
Like,
God.
for fun.
Well, there
just
was-
do it.
There was
Wait,
a chick in the
is
community,
an
and she just
excellent
happened to live
idea.
in St. Augustine, and she was a psychic, and she wanted me to help her with her solution. And I was like, "Yeah, I'll totally do that, but in exchange for that, I want
Killer.
you to come on the podcast, and we'll have a séance, and
Please do that.
We'll talk to
Yeah.
Byron." And
Please
she was
do
like,
that.
"Yeah, but you got to pay me $300 because my time is valuable." And I was like,
Oh
time's
my
not
God.
valuable?"
Yeah, it's like if this isn't quid pro quo, like if you're the psychic, you tell me what I'm going to tell you.
Yeah.
I'm sensing a name with a B.
I'm gonna do it, man. I'm gonna find a psychic. We're gonna conjure up Byron.
I promise to
Where his
be.
treasures are.
We can always just get a Ouija board out too if it worst comes to worst.
I promise to not be a jerk if we bring a psychic on. I will do my best.
But you have to like go to New Orleans and do it there.
We just have him on Zoom, and we'll be like, "Welcome to the Secret Podcast. What's my name?"
Well, it says it on your thing.
Yeah. frantic typing.
Frantic googling.
Oh, I just find the 5 most opinionated people in the whole secret community, give them a Ouija board and ask questions about the secret. Watch them fight to like move that thing around.
We can
I
have
was-
give Alan Thomason the Ouija board, and then no matter what comes up, he could anagram it.
Have you
It's
guys
just
done a
random
Ouija
letters.
board?
Give them to Alan.
Have you guys done a Ouija board before?
I've never done it.
When I was like 15 or 16.
I did ghost hunt. I used to go in cemeteries and
Oh, that's fun too.
it's fun.
That sounds pretty
I did. I was the guy that moved the thing. I
You were
like.
that guy.
I'd like give Brett money. Brett
Sean,
is
if you-
amazing.
If you do come to St. Augustine, we've got these ghost tours, and they're super cool because they give you like a EM reader, and then they give you this laser pointer that does like a grid of dots, and you're supposed to wait for things to go in front of the laser pointer and move the dots. It's stupid but fun. You should try them.
That's fun.
I will.
That's fun.
I will.
Okay, so Marge Lamoureux prayed to Byron and sent her a clue, and we would like to know what
What
that
is the
clue
clue?
was. Yeah, what's the clue, Marge? Please tell us.
Please tell us.
You can't say that and not tell us what the clue
you
was.
can't. Like if you
Because
pray to
I have
Byron-
also prayed to Byron. I'm not going to lie, and I'm not even a religious person whatsoever.
I don't know how to pray. I was gonna try to do that, but I don't know what I'm doing. So
And Bobby Carroll says he gets hammered in his hot tub all the time and thinks about chatting with Byron. I think I may have done that as well.
yeah, I have phone calls with her.
The hot tub makes the alcohol hit harder, right?
Oh, now I figured out how to do it. Hail Byron, full of grace. The puzzle is with thee.
That's the right amount of worship.
Byron's like, Laheim. I don't know.
What else? Chris,
Simon
what are you
wants to know if
drinking?
We can ask Satan for help. We can listen to death metal and
Always
bargain
ask.
George's soul.
Well, that sounds more up my
Ooh.
alley.
Good.
Ooh, that looks pretty
Just
good.
yeah, just something casual for
Is that
chat
like
with friends.
like a canned Moscow Mule type of
Yeah,
thing?
yeah, pretty
Killer.
much.
Yeah, my wife
Yeah.
would like that.
I was feeling lazy. I didn't want to have to like make something.
We haven't talked about the secret at all.
All right,
We have.
No, we did.
We talked
did.
about San
Let's
Francisco
let's
for
go
like
back
a
to
half
it.
hour.
All right, so we didn't. What we didn't talk about with San Francisco was the litany.
What are your feelings there?
I mean, the litany says chaste, referencing chastity. I don't know.
Virgin Mary.
I'm just gonna say like Virgin Mary.
I really
It
like
has
the
it has a, it
parallels
has a
you
Virgin
drew.
Mary vibe.
I like the unity parallels you drew coming from the litany.
Really,
and the
really
second
good.
verse.
Yep.
And like it's interesting that like chaste and perfect are both kind of like in the realm of synonyms. And then silver, which the pearl is white technically, so it's interesting that silver was chosen, and we know that the Sun Yat-sen statue in St. Mary's Square is silver, and his name is Sun and it says moon, so maybe there is an opposite flip it around, turn it around thing going on there. And from Far Cathay, and you'd be like right in front of the Cathay house. Like it's interesting to think about that in the context of the litany. It's hard to understand the Chicago one and what the hell that might mean. Similarly hard for Cleveland. So I don't have a lot of I don't have a lot to stand on, but the Boston one is interesting because it says old Italy and it has antique in there, which also means old. And we know that the peridot gets its green color from iron. So we've got old iron in there. So it's like I'm of two minds, I guess, where I can see it in Boston. I can see it the way I want to see it in San Francisco, but I can't for the life of me figure out Cleveland or Chicago. So that's always the first step, right? Like if you can't do it for the two that are solved here, you don't have a lot going on. So
I mean, but there's something to the reversing. There's something like I can't get off my mind how much stuff in the image and what you were saying with the tie into the litany. I cannot get out of my head how much has to do with mirroring, right? In this, every single one of the runes is either mirrored or upside down. The G and H is mirrored, and or the G and H is mirrored. The yin yang is mirrored and upside down. Like I can't what kills me is I can see that being like an end sort of twist, but even still, like it doesn't, unless it's doing like it does at Cleveland where it takes you to a planner, it doesn't make any sense. Like what the, I don't know.
Here's something that I don't know how people feel about this, but do you guys feel like all of the verses have a twist? Because in my opinion, the Cleveland verse, it was clearly a twist. Like, I don't think it was like he saw the wall a certain way. I think that personally, I think there's some clues that are going to tell you what the twist is. And so part of what I've wondered is, do we think all the puzzles have a twist? Well,
I mean, my idea with Cleveland is there's not really a twist. You just do what the verse says. You seek the columns for the search. If you do all of your countings, if you go back to the columns for your search and you do all the countings from there, you end up in the right spot. Boston didn't really have a twist either.
They came from the wrong side.
But do we know
right?
exactly where Boston was found? You said in front of the plate, right? I mean, could there be a twist that got you in front of the plate versus under the plate? I'm not sure.
I don't know. It would depend on exactly where it was found.
That's the tough part. Yeah, we
Yeah.
only know really where one was found.
Because if you feel at home, you're standing on home plate, so you can't dig under where you're standing. You would dig right in front, but then it would have to be like the only other like directional element of the verse is to be potentially facing north with your back to the stairs, if that is even possible.
Which I don't think
then,
it is.
Yeah, I don't think it is either. Like if your back is to the stairs, you're not actually
Kind of
facing
facing
north.
east or something, right?
Yeah, so it's that could be the twist.
I wish we had more information, right? Like, because in Boston, the way the construction guys were explaining it, they only dug one trench. It was small. They just dug it out to get like a conduit out of the ground. But then you see Expedition Unknown, and their small trench is like 6 feet wide. You know, which one did you dig that afterwards? Is that backfilled dirt? What the hell is that? You know, I wish we could get more information out of that, but I don't think we ever will.
So like some things that I find interesting, I feel like dictate the twist in Cleveland is like when it mentions a centaur in reverse in the book. To me, that was an interesting phrase because clearly we have something that is being reversed at the end, and the image is a very prominent centaur in our image, right?
Where's that? Is that in the back?
It's it's under the Post Monster General. It talks about a centaur in reverse. I mean, I've even considered, and I don't know if people have played around with this. I'm sure people have done everything, right? I've read the lines of the Cleveland poem completely in reverse, like start at the bottom line. And to me, it almost makes more sense, you know, because people always say, you know, why does it make more sense one way or the other? But
I mean, it makes sense. The Cleveland one makes sense both ways because you're just looking for shit in the exact same spot. You're not going anywhere.
You're not going to do it because it's so fucking easy.
Yeah, well, you could take that verse and do like a William S. Burroughs thing where you cut each line up, spread it out, rearrange it completely, and it still makes sense because everything happens within that, you know, within that one little area. You don't have to move.
Yeah, that's my hard word. Burroughs.
Oh yeah, Burroughs.
Yeah.
Yes.
And the other one though too is it also mentions left to right. It's what the glitches, right? Where it talks about left to right. It's like any which way but left to right. So it's interesting that we literally have the phrase left to right, and then we have to read it right to left instead. Just another interesting thing where is it another coincidence where we're adding up coincidences, or are some of these things real? And if they are, is there more to it for other puzzles?
Phil wrote something about Mira Chimera, and like how it looks from the back or something. Like that was sort of within that same realm of thinking, I think.
So I'm wondering if there's like 2 or 3, you know, things that were all meant to help us with this. So that we got there, we never even considered digging in the left. Maybe in his brain, he thought they're going to see these clues and they're going to head right to the right side of the.
It's also possible he forgot.
Anything's possible.
It's also possible he just screwed up. It sucks. This is what sucks about not having the man around to ask.
Yeah.
So Sean,
I think it's more of a stretch to say that he forgot because
I think it is as well. Like when I first started this puzzle, it was very much like he's a bad puzzle maker. He wasn't, you know, making notes. He didn't know what the hell he was doing. Now I think it's a stretch to say that. It's more like they just didn't figure it out when they were.
we're just not getting it. Wait, is that what you're saying?
Well, I think we
Okay.
got it
Remember
now.
where you hid something. I don't think he's going to forget like which side.
But no.
It seems like he expected things to be solved in like a particular way, and we're like dancing all around it. So we may even end up at the right spot, but if we didn't get there the way he wanted us to get there, it's not going to totally make sense.
Right.
I just saw a comment. Hey guys, sorry if this is a dumb question. She's new to the secret and saw a video of me and John at the Fountain of Youth and heard Brian say we might have found Charleston. We didn't. We found trash. Sorry. It was just trash.
One man's trash.
We might have found a lot of
Or
shit.
we
It's all
found
just
some
trash.
sewer pipe. We found some.
Oh god, it's so much shit.
Hey,
That was weird though. That was
Done
weird.
the
I found a
same thing.
nice shell in Charleston that looked a lot like a cask. I'll sell it to somebody if they want my shell.
Well, we found, so it was me and John back in Charleston, and we found plexiglass and we found parts of ceramic, and the ceramic was poured, and the ceramic kind of looked like a cask, but it was way too thin. It was like super thin, but the plexiglass was spot on. And then, from what I understand, during Expedition Unknown, they dug that whole area up and didn't find shit. So it was like we found the only little pieces of junk. I don't know.
Pirate bones. If you're in Charleston, it could be pirate bones. Now that would be real treasure. Imagine selling a piece of Stede Bonnet. That'd be pretty cool.
I think about that every time I dig in St. Augustine. Like, what the hell am I going to find now? It's a cannonball with someone's skull attached to it.
You got real treasure in St. Augustine. I mean, man, you never know. You get something much more valuable than a cask.
All these people that, because like Rattlesnake Island in St. Augustine was a big deal for a while with a bunch of hunters. And every time somebody said they were going out to dig, I was like, well, let me know what you find for real, because there's gold and all kinds of shit out there.
That'd be amazing. You think you're just going to dig up this little plexiglass glass in a cask that you're solving this cutesy little puzzle that's maybe it's got collector's value, maybe it you need to fucking find like gold nuggets. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, like a cache of gold coins. Yeah.
There's one guy, there's like a local treasure hunter in St. Augustine who found the site of the French massacre, where the Spanish massacred the French, right? And he's pulling up giant gold crosses and just mounds of coins, and he won't tell the city where it is, but it's somewhere out near Rattlesnake Island. Well, he said the city just like he takes all of these artifacts around to schools and he shows them to kids and stuff. It's like a little traveling museum. I don't want to make the guy sound like he's being noble. He's from everything I've heard about him, kind of a dickhead. But that's what he does. And he's like, the city says they'll take it away from me and put it in their permanent museum, and I don't want that to happen, so I'm just not going to tell them where it is.
Only in Florida.
Yeah.
There's interesting laws on found treasure. Like whenever you like look up like in the deep sea and like if it's like on the fringes of countries, if you find stuff like internationally, some countries you can't find buried treasure because they legally have an obligation to take it all from you.
St. Augustine's like that. If you find anything in St. Augustine, it belongs to the city.
I just wouldn't say anything until I get it in the bank.
Like the guy, you just take all of your stuff around to different schools and let little kids.
Yeah. Be on the black market so fast.
A couple of interesting things from the comments are, so Marge said it was a long story, but it was a locust and or a cicada. So that's interesting. Could be Milwaukee. Yep.
Maybe Byron's just trying to say he's just asleep for a little while and then he's going to come back and scream. And
oh yeah, after 13.
It's been longer.
Funny how everyone's
maybe he came back and we just didn't notice. You know.
Here's something I want to know as well. Sean, where do you get your shirts?
This one I got in Canada.
Is it custom? Is it custom made?
No, it's like a tourist shop.
Just a tourist thing?
It's just a touristy shirt. I do a lot of my shopping though on a place called Fresh Hoods. I like their shirts.
Sean's a streetwear kid.
The hat's cool too.
I bet you got nice shoes.
This was Target, believe it or not, but it was a
nice.
Killer
Nice. And then another one for Sean. Do you have any contingencies in place for your puzzles in case you get hit by a bus?
Well, yeah.
That's
so
interesting.
We have two people, right? It's me and Hillary. So we have two people. Plus, it is all written down somewhere as well. So there will be a winner, and it's not going to take years and years. Like
I'm gonna ask a question just because it'd put me in the frame of mind of how to solve this. So think about that before you answer. Who designed your puzzle aspect of the book? Was that you, or was it like a group effort?
Everything within the book, from the story through the puzzles, was a collaboration between me and Hillary. So one of us might have had more in one area, one of us might have had more in another area, and then we worked out the illustrator because we can't draw shit.
I'm going to bounce around here. If Angela Dornadin, I really enjoy trying to pronounce people's last names when I've never said them before. It's like my favorite part of it. I'm serious. I enjoy it just to see if I get it right or not. If I found a chimera, Chimera, chimera,
Or whatever it is.
Chimera.
chimera image. If I found a Camaro on the street, if I found a Chimera image, does that mean I found a real dig site? I don't think so.
Not necessarily.
I don't think so. I don't think so. You'd have to probably put some other clues together. Let's see. I was going to ask you guys something. I have an original book that George gave me. Actually, we traded for it. And it's like, can you see this? It's like destroyed.
Oh, yeah.
Can
Yeah,
you
nice
see that?
Barely,
Can I get
but
that
yeah.
repaired? What's wrong with the?
You could
You can
get someone to
rebound.
bind it. Yeah. Like as a hardcover.
You can.
Yeah.
See that? It's like split here. I don't know why it won't.
I have a guy
Anyway,
here
As a
that does
collector,
it,
though,
but
because sometimes when you fix things, it like lowers the collector's value if you care about that.
I don't care. I just want to be able
You
to
can
like,
fix that.
yeah, I don't
Yeah.
give a crap.
I think the
can get
story
her-
of that book is more valuable than the book
yeah.
itself.
So in which case should I just leave it how it is because it is how I've made it.
Getting a book rebound is expensive. It can be.
Yeah, but if it's like a valued book that you're going to use a lot, like sure.
I should probably get it fixed.
You can just take
Otherwise,
it to the
it'll
library
turn.
and they'll take it.
It'll
Just slap it on.
yeah. It'll
They
turn
just
into my
duct
copy of
tape-
Fandango. It's just like a fan now. There's like
Yeah, this thing is
there's
destroyed.
no yeah.
They won't just duct tape it together, right?
You could make a pretty cool poster. You took all the pages out, put them all next to each other, fill up a whole wall or something.
But they're double-sided.
Well, you got to
Just
buy
pick
another
Oh,
book.
yeah. No, you got to.
I've gotta hang
laminate
it. Yeah,
Laminate
and
it
hang
on
it
both
from the
sides.
ceiling so you can walk around it.
Yeah, like
would
that
be
scene in
absolutely
Romeo and
sweet.
Juliet where Leo DiCaprio is looking through the fish tank, just like that.
You can just have it above your bed, the secret mobile, and you turn
Yeah,
it on
it's
when you
nice.
sleep, and it plays the Expedition Unknown soundtrack.
Right, because I'm not absolutely nuts as it already is.
I'll just read it to you. I'll just record it.
Bookbinder. I need a
That's
bookbinder.
what we need. We need an audiobook of The Secret recorded by Chris.
Ooh, yeah.
And
I
you
did
can
it
do
for
some metal
Fandango.
guitar in the background.
That would be great.
And then
I don't want to
scream
break
every
any
third line.
copyrights.
It's fine.
What do you call it? We need questions from people. Are you guys good with another couple of minutes? You guys need
Yeah.
to close it out.
Yeah.
I'm just chilling. It's early for me. I don't have to work tomorrow. Hopefully none of my coworkers are on the phone or on the call. You have to go to the eye doctor.
Yeah, I gotta get glasses, I guess. Every like
You
2
do?
years I get free glasses, so Rachel makes me go get them. And I don't wear
Dude.
them. They sit in front of me. Like here's the last I got this 2 years ago, and then I got these 4 years ago.
What are you doing? Wear your
They're
glasses,
really
bro.
nice. These are Armani and these
Let's
are
see 'em.
Oakley.
See it. Put them on. Come on, man.
All right. I haven't worn these in like
This is going to be interesting. So you know how you always draw me or like make fun of me wearing glasses. Oh yeah.
So that's 4 years ago. I don't
Very,
like those as much. I like the
businesslike.
Oakleys. Oh, my Oakleys aren't in here. I don't know where they're at. Oh,
You
they're in
look
the art
like
room.
you when you put those on, you look like you are a Florida businessman who owns a tackle shop. You look like a dude who owns a tackle shop.
You could own a
Brett, let me
steak.
talk to you about my spinners.
Yeah, I need to hear about those spinners.
Would you like some squid bait?
Yes.
I don't know.
Also that. I need all
As
of
far
those
as I can
things.
go. I want to talk to you today about your 401k and your car's extended warranty.
Yeah, I was gonna go with tax accountant.
That would be the worst mistake. Giving me your taxes is the worst mistake you'd ever make.
I don't do our taxes.
Just
Yeah.
don't pay them. What's gonna happen?
You live
Yeah,
in Florida,
why-
don't they not have taxes? Like
They don't have state income tax. That's
Can you look-
because they steal their tax from the rest of the states that are actually paying for them. So the rest of the states are in the 50 states are subsidizing
Treasures are
Florida.
big enough, right? The treasures pay for it.
Yeah, and
I
treasures.
just-
right.
I just caught a comment. Simon Baldwin wants me to look on JM's laptop like I have access to that. to see if I can find the first holiday special because it's not available online. But I have a
Dude.
online.
We're not going into JM's. Yeah.
Straight browser history.
Yeah. Well, I've been tearing through like old files. Like I found a audio file of my grandmother who's been dead since like the 90s. I'm just tearing through like all my old archives, and I found a bunch of mine and John's old recording stuff, which was weird. It was fun to just sit and listen to the conversation. And then I started searching because the first episode of the podcast, there was a completely different version than the one that was released. And we released it and it was downloaded like 30 or 40 times. And John was immediately threatened with a lawsuit from James Renner. And so we took it down and we had to re-record it.
Renner? Why would Renner?
That was valid. It was 100% valid lawsuit threat because John John
thrashed him.
No, he stole just so much audio from the documentary. Like our old intro was
of course,
basically
That's legit.
it was the trailer for the documentary, like all of the audio. It's crazy. And nobody knew it because only John had seen it. Nobody knew.
But I thought the documentary was about Byron Price.
Yeah, well,
it's a totally different thing. What are you talking about? That reminds me of. Remember when Vanilla Ice got sued for stealing that bass line from Under Pressure?
Oh.
Yeah.
And his explanation of why it's different, he goes, well, the first one is like, doon 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 doon, and mine is like doon 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 doon, and he like lifts his head up like, are you hearing that extra bass note in there? Sorry, dudes. I don't know where that came from.
Where are the original paintings by JJP? They're at his house. Where to find the best images to see the best details? It's 12treasures.com.
We say that a lot.
Images are now officially endorsed by John Palancar as the best online.
Really?
Do you have like a star? You have like a seal to put on it too, like endorsed.
I should get a seal.
We have to pay him.
Those like gold ones, yeah.
He gets a penny per website visitor. Oh wow!
What's the next?
Talk about anything else?
Yeah. What's the next task that's going to get found?
I mean, people are digging in San Francisco, so.
Yeah, if it's a pure numbers game, I think San Francisco's probably near the top of the list, just with access.
Good point. Good point. But I know that's not stopping some people from what I'm hearing.
I mean, like my two go-tos are San Francisco and Roanoke. San Francisco because of access, and Roanoke because there's less ground to cover.
Yeah, I think personally, I think Roanoke.
John thinks Roanoke.
And where do you think it's
Didn't
going
you
to
say that on the thing?
I'll never tell.
On Expedition Unknown, he said Roanoke was the next one.
Yeah, it was the Josh Gates Tonight or whatever, right?
Yeah. So, whatever.
Well, I gotta keep trying to get permission to get my one then, just so I can get an answer for where I think it is.
Rachel just came in and told me that she's talking to her mom, so I have all the time in the world. So you guys are gonna have to kick me off. I'll just sit and bullshit for a while. So whenever you guys want to go, let me know, and I'll just click the button. We'll start.
Why don't we cut in a couple of minutes?
Okay.
But I'm not in a hurry.
I'll just get you talking about true crime again. Talk about Ash.
I could go on and on.
Or whatever it is.
I think that's an inside job, my friend.
Asha?
Mm-hmm. Family.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, family.
Mm-hmm.
I told all you gotta do is say a thing, and then
we're just Occam's. Well, we're also both Occam's razors guys. I mean, like the simplest. The probably the person that you think did it probably did it, and then all this other stuff is just hype to try to. I will tell you, I think the premise of Serial is genius, and there is a reason that's like the most listened to podcast of all time, because like coming in with a totally different angle and like convincing people that the guy didn't do it is moneymaker city right there. You know what I mean? Just like the documentary that came out about making a murderer, the follow-up one. where they were supposedly showing you how he didn't do it or something like that. But anyway, like, sorry.
Has JJP ever inferred how much can be found in the negative spaces of the paintings? You know, there was something in the interview that I think I'm just going to put out, which was the confirmed clues for Cleveland and Boston, because he showed exactly what he was trying to show you in each of those paintings, aside from two things, one in Cleveland and one in Boston, where he was like, these are things, but I can't tell you what they are, because probably, like, he didn't elaborate, but I'm thinking because the technique he used to hide something is applicable to something else.
Interesting.
And they're fucking way simpler than anything. Like, it's like, seriously, that's all we have. Like, it's all the stuff that's commonly accepted, right? It's Liberty Highway, it's Euclid, it's the outline of the thing. The only thing that I didn't know was the hat in Cleveland is from Soldiers and Sailors Monument in Cleveland, and I couldn't find a picture of it. But it's like there's no negative, like, other than the terminal tower, there's no like negative space weirdness, there's no nothing. And then like Boston was literally like, this is what you saw in Expedition Unknown, it's pretty dumb. He said that the hair thing was Worf's, which I was like, what the fuck?
No.
Yeah, he's like, it was nice that they picked up on the Worf's. Yeah. And then the rest of the stuff, he's like, this is the porthole for Ironsides.
Oh yeah.
I'm like, oh my god.
Portal.
That's why, like,
porthole. Yeah.
the
Porthole.
Yeah.
Like, somebody asked me in one of the other streams, like, what do you think the interview will make people will show that the images are more important than people think they are? And I was like, no, it'll show that they're less important than you think they are.
But then when he talked about Boston, did he touch on like the triangles and all like the little images like that? Did he say that's nothing? Or did he say it's something?
Triangles?
You know, like,
Oh,
like
the semaphore flags. Yeah, he was like, they're semaphore flags. The thing that I thought was cool was so it says Boston, right? It's dumb. It says Boston.
Dumb, yeah.
And then you've got the popping thing, and then you've got the globe. But you were supposed to tie those together. It was supposed to be Boston pop, Boston globe, right? It wasn't just supposed to be a standalone globe and a standalone pops that you were supposed to sort of kind of tie Boston together. It was supposed to be the big word Boston. You tied it to these two things that are anchored on either side of it. I was like, all right, that makes a little more sense, I guess.
But as confirmation, like,
I think it was just a way to like, not really confirmation, just that's, so you need two words for these clues. Both of them share the word Boston. Boston's in the center and it expands out, right? It's dumb. Like, not dumb, but it's simple.
but that's the thing. Like, if the Boston Globe building and the place where the Boston Pops play aren't important, like, how did those clues ever help you? If you already know Boston, what else do you need from them?
That's why I'm saying about San Francisco. That's exactly what I'm saying about San Francisco.
He thinks the globe easiest way to get into Boston. Like, what got you into Boston first to say this is the Boston image? Because, like, as someone that grew up in that area, the Boston Globe, you know the globe.
Yeah, you know the globe.
But then it would be confirmation. The globe, you would the globe and the pops would confirm Boston for you, because you'd be like, oh, Boston Globe, it's not the San Francisco Globe, right? Like, then it's a confirmation piece.
Like, I feel like he thinks the first thing you do when you look at the painting is you see that, because the globe catches your attention right away.
Mm-hmm.
That's the way I think perhaps he thought of it.
Do you want to know? There was one thing he said that made me want to shoot myself in the head.
Yeah, definitely. We want to hear that.
the thing that we have been struggling over with the Boston painting for so long is that freaking building, right?
Yeah,
in the cast,
the Strawberry Hill or whatever it is, right?
The building. Do you know what it is?
I don't. I've heard
nothing.
The Strawberry
It's
Hill.
nothing. It is literally nothing. They did not
it.
have a design for the cask when they made the painting, and it was going to be the cover of the book. So that's what they did. That's why the advertising thing, the advertising promo just has a gem. That was the first one, and then they were like, no, that's too plain. It's too simple. So let's put a building.
Put a castle on it.
It's nothing.
Fuck. That's what I'm worried about in a lot of this stuff, in everything, in the verses, in the paint in the images. I'm worried that in San Francisco, it's just a bunch of city confirmers,
Well,
you know,
like
and then like maybe one thing in there, you know.
it sucks because the dude has to make a painting that's pretty, that's interesting, that people like.
Yep.
He's got to have elements in it, and those elements don't all have to mean something.
I know.
Sometimes a castle box is just a castle box.
I
And that
know.
makes a lot of sense for you guys arguing that it's not Golden Gate Park. Like I'm hearing that and I'm saying, yeah, like he had to put clothes on this girl. He had to put clothes.
This is what I'm saying, dude.
But like that
Yeah.
Dragon's
Yeah,
Gate
yeah.
is
only
that
Charleston.
Dragon's Gate's just like Boston Pops or Boston Globe, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
dumb, it's simple,
Yes.
it's just
GH is Ghirardelli. It's reverse because we got to reverse some things. We need to find some things to reverse.
It is interesting that it's right on the Great Highway, though. So I'm okay with that.
Well,
Is
okay.
but that brings us to double clues. Like it's very easy for them to use one thing that represents two different ideas. Possible.
Okay, it's on the other side of Crossover Drive, though. Hold on.
Oh, it's on the right side. It's
Hold
on the
hold
west.
on.
It's the farthest west. If
Hold
you
on.
flip it this way, if you flip it the other way, it doesn't work.
I know a lot of people do that, right? They say you only flip on one side of Crossover Drive. Is that
No,
kind of what-
okay. Here's the deal. See where the strawberry is.
Mm-hmm.
That's on one side of the hands. Which would be Crossover. That would be the same. The Great Highway would be on the same side. It would also be on the west side of Crossover.
here's my thing. So we're take these three things, right? We've got
See what I'm saying?
We've got Golden Gate Park, we've got Crossover Drive, we've got Strawberry Hill, right? They're all within this square. And a lot of hunters, I'm not going to say we, because I don't think we've ever done this, but a lot of hunters use this as a path, right? They use that image as a path, start at Golden Gate Park, then go to Crossover, and then go to, but what if it's just a way of saying this is Golden Gate Park, right? Like you can either illustrate a rectangle, or you can illustrate a rectangle with a couple of details that will tell you what that rectangle is.
Yeah.
And put a giant dragon in the center of it.
Yeah. And the dragon is supposed to represent Dragon's Gate.
I don't know that for sure.
No, I'm just throwing it out there. It's all just a bunch of stuff saying, and what if most of the stuff, most of the symbols and stuff around the dress are just like window dressing?
Or they're as
It would be
simple as
it would be pretty
semaphore
funny
flag.
if like 10 years from now it gets found and JJP's, talking, he just goes, yeah, the cuffs where she's pointing, nothing. Everyone would be so mad at that. 'Cause everyone's
I'd be
obsessed
so
with
mad. I would die.
Yes.
I'm obsessed with them myself. I think it's the final step, but I don't know. It could be
I'm
nothing.
the opposite. I think it's the first step.
I think there's no steps.
Right? Interesting. I like it.
Yeah.
This is a good question that I see quite a bit. Or like Jonathan Edwards says, if he spelled out Boston in one image, why wouldn't he do it in another? Or is it possible that he would do it in another?
It's possible.
It's
Very
possible.
possible.
I don't know.
I
Dude,
saw some people think it says
You have a
St.
ghost there?
That's not
Cat.
me.
I don't see that. Yeah, Sean, I know what you're talking about. I don't see it. I don't see it.
either.
What
I'm just saying
I
some
like to
people-
think
I
of, I remember that in one of his interviews he said something about there being sort of like a pattern, like there was a not a formula but a table of different like points you'd have to hit for each, and I think one of those points is it has to tell you either a city or a state, right? So some of them like in Cleveland it gives you the city outline with all of the interstates in it, which he also confirmed, and it gives you the terminal tower that gives you the state of Ohio, city of Cleveland, right? Boston doesn't have really anything for the city or the state, so he spells it
Got
out.
the zip code, right?
Yeah, but Cleveland's got the
And
latitude and longitude coordinates, but
it's in the verse. If you find the Walpole quote,
yeah,
you can get.
So maybe it's just like him spelling out Boston is just like, instead of looking for the name of each city in each image, focus on how the city or how the image tells you the city, right? Because he's telling you the city in that image. So how is he telling you the city in these other images?
And I think if we can think outside the box on some of it, it might help too. Like in my New York, I think there's an EV for East Village. There could be something like that or something completely different in all sorts of cities, right?
Yeah. John asked, any chance he's forgotten some of the clues he put in the paintings? 100%. He's forgotten a lot. He doesn't. He's done thousands of illustrations for hundreds of books and hundreds of projects. It was 40 years ago. It was just a job. 100% he's forgotten. Watavich. You gave me a phonetical spell. Watavich. Oh well, Brett has left. Does that mean Brett wants to go? Do you guys want to go? I don't know.
I was just gonna move somewhere, but that's all right. Yeah, we can take off. I think we.
Okay.
I've always got more, but I can save it for another time.
No, I mean, if you've got more to go, just fuck. I have nothing to do. If Brett wants to leave, he can leave. I have nothing to do. If you want to keep talking, we'll keep talking.
So someone posted a link from the wiki the other day and referred to it as like all of the quotes that are found in the front of the Book of the Secrets. And like, this is something I actually spend a lot of time with in general. So there's a topic there if we want to like talk about potential quotes and references in the front of the book.
So a lot of those are just so loose though. Like some of them are very direct. Some of them are very loose.
Some of them seem to be potentially book titles. It's just a lot of weird stuff is capitalized and I don't know what to do with it. So like if you go to page 11, 1, 2, 3, the fourth paragraph, he's capitalized legends and discovery in a way that you wouldn't normally capitalize in an English sentence, even in a way that he uses the word legends twice, and once it's capitalized as a proper noun and once not. So
pull up my book. You said page 11?
Page 11.
Yeah.
Page 11. So it's, I find that kind of stuff really curious. Like, why is he capitalizing these words that I don't think should be capitalized? Like legends maybe, but discovery seems like a definite word that should not be capital D.
No, so legends like that, like just reading the sentence, it makes sense because the first legends is a noun, and then he's describing
Right, it's a proper noun.
He's describing that person looks down on actual legends.
Right.
Like
so then tell me about
like
discovery.
Okay, let me find discovery.
It's like just the line below. It attributed the discovery of the Newfoundland. So the Newfoundland, sure. Right. So it's weird. There's a book called The Voyagers, Being Legends and hold on, I'm gonna have to Google it because my handwriting is illegible. But anyways, this book, the contents of this book is like the exact copy of everything that he wrote in the front of the book. So it's called The Voyagers, Being Legends and Romances of Atlantic Discovery. It's from like the 1920s. Famous, won some awards. But like it's the whole book is about Brandon and Eric the Red, and like it's if you go through it, it seems almost like source material for the first part, like this passage to the New World.
I'm curious if Brett left or if he's was he just like fuck you guys?
I'm here. I'm just moving around. Sorry, I didn't want to make anybody dizzy on the camera.
He's moving around with the computer.
I am.
I really need to find this literary.
I mean, I'm with you, Chris. There's a lot of stuff where I think the capital letters are drawing our attention to something. Now, I think sometimes it's just a reference for the sake of being a fun reference, because they reference a shit ton of stuff, right? And a lot of it's just fun. But then other times I go, that feels like it means something, and it feels like there's something there. So
yeah,
I
the problem is
seen that one you brought up.
figuring out what the intention is. Like, is he just calling out that like this was a book that he used as inspiration? You know, or is there something more to it? Who knows?
So there's
But like, it's interesting.
It's definitely interesting. There's a paragraph that I kind of relate to the San Francisco verse in the front of the book, where it says, "Finally, we reached the great Western Sea. There was no place farther we could go. Only the strongest and strangest of the shining runs. We're still at the end of the trail. As I stood looking out on the blue waves coming in from the place where the sun was setting, I heard them say goodbye to me. When I turned to look for them, they too had vanished, and I was alone at the end of the world." So when I read that, I said, I heard them say goodbye to me. Like, that's kind of a weird thing to say. And I look it up, and there's a song from, the 60s called "I Said Goodbye to Me." And it's about being on the edge of the water. And then he says, "I'm alone at the end of the world." End of the World was also a song from the 50s about being on the edge of the water. So I think there's a ton of references here. And
It's pretty cool.
And in terms of like acrostics, I know some people hold on, what is it? Italian Fenway. You don't like it? Yeah, I like it. New York is italic footnotes. And I think that they're trying to confirm each other by both having two words, one starting with an I, one starting with an F. But I am aware you can like make whatever you want out of anything. But what's interesting to me that I use in San Francisco, and I use it with a grain of salt, is shining one raft is something that you can draw from there. And there's references to rafts, and certainly the shining ones seem like they're relating to San Francisco. So especially when my solve is by Stowe Lake, I always think where the cask is kept is a synonym for stow. So I think you're taken to Stowe Lake at the end of it. So when I see this paragraph that's talking about being on the edge of the water, and then I think about the shining one raft, and then I try to figure out what is that last step. If the process is right, there's a last step that I'm in San Francisco.
Italian Fenway uses all of the letters, right?
No, it has 4 leftovers.
Oh.
I think it's like
See, there's a problem. That's
the
a
last
problem.
2 and the middle one, though.
Don't you think that's a problem?
I do think it's a problem.
I think it's a problem.
That's a major problem.
It's not just an acrostic; it's an acrostic anagram that doesn't use all the letters. That's
I mean, how
in terms of finding it in advance, right? It's easy to see after the fact. Like, say it worked for all of them or something, but it doesn't work for all of them. But then it's also interesting because you look at all of the puzzles, the way he does them, there are very few things that he does for every single one. So it's not out of the realm of possibility that he took a handful of them and it applies.
I don't know that I think Italian Fenway is a problem. Like, I know we're looking at it in the context of it being a clue to go to the ball field in the north end of Boston. But if you were just a kid who didn't know there was one in Boston, and you knew that there were immigration references or whatever, and you were looking through for like shit like that, and you were to find Italian, all of a sudden you got a match, or all of a sudden you have an answer to a problem. This is the Italian verse.
Yeah. I'll give you that.
Sort of the same
I would
thing
give you
that
that
continued to
more
Boston.
than I'd give you Italian more than the Fenway part.
I mean,
it's something that
Italian
you're looking
uses,
for.
yeah, but Italian just uses even less of the letters.
It's so many,
But
and these are very common letters.
He could view it as a Easter egg, though. What if he doesn't view it as a clue or a hint? He just views it as, this will be fun for somebody after it's solved. It could be an Easter
Possible.
egg.
Yeah.
And it could be potential to find the Easter eggs and utilize them. Even if you're not 100% sure of something, like say you find something like Italian Fenway in another verse, well, go down that path, see if it works for you. If it doesn't trigger any other good ideas, it's probably not enough on its own. But if it triggers something else, by all means, it's worth exploring.
But the way we know it's bad is that people have this on their mind and they've looked at this in other verses and nobody can really, I mean, other than like Coney Isle in New York, nobody can really make it work.
Yeah, it depends what you like. I like, yeah, I know what you're saying. It's hard because none of them are as good as Italian Fenway. Italian Fenway, by far, tells the dig spot.
Yeah.
And that's pretty powerful versus no one's found dig spot anywhere else. They found stuff that says, some people in San Francisco, so like I have Shining One Raft, but I've seen other people with a giant forest thing. So clearly you can make multiple things that are going to be somewhat relevant to your solve. So you can't like use that as
that many letters. You can.
Yeah, you can't use it as a guarantee, but you could use it as, let me pursue this and see if it helps with something.
I mean, if you're using those and making like 4-letter words, like shiny silver raft or whatever, like I'm not going to buy it because you can take those and make any 4-letter words you want.
Well, yeah. So my one would be Shining One Raft. And I understand what you're saying. 2 of the words are short, but Shining One is a term from the book, very specific, that almost surely is talking about San Francisco because it's talking about the Great Western Sea. So it's a little bit, it's not enough for me to even think that I'm 100%. I'm probably not even like 30% on it, but I think it could be a thing. And so if having that word raft in my head triggers something else that's going to help me, like there are other references to rafts in the book. And some of them I think are actually somewhat interesting. I don't have it in front of me. But if it triggers something else, I think it's good. On its own, I don't think it's very valuable.
Could be Shining One Fart.
I mean,
that's the treasure that's in my backyard.
You know what? I'm
so to speak.
The lottery now. I'm ready to dig. You just did it for me.
That's the treasure that's in my backyard. Yeah, I'm having trouble. If it's an order, like an acrostic, like Seloy, I don't know how to pronounce it.
Either.
That one's undeniable.
Easter egg.
It's an
Easter egg,
but I don't think that's an Easter egg. I think that is intentional for verse painting pairing because it's not an anagram. It is truly an acrostic.
Yes,
it's all there in the last 5 lines. Like if that is an intentional, obvious clue.
Okay, and I say Easter egg as in like it's not all of the letters. It's a true acrostic. It is it absolutely necessary? I guess my definition of Easter egg might be a little bit different. But yeah, you're right. That's intentional. Like it's there and it's legit. Like I just can't imagine taking some subset of letters from all of the first letters of the words of a verse and trying to make something from it. That's all.
Well, I mean, on the other hand, could you imagine painting a bunch of random letters in a thing and then putting a bubble next to a bird and saying that's Boston Pops? Like, I think something Sean was saying before, like we put these people on a pedestal, we kind of create heroes out of John and Byron, and they're, maybe not as good as we think they are. We're making the puzzle in our head better than it actually is. Mm-hmm. So is that a technique he would use? I have no idea.
That is an excellent point. I can't rule anything out.
I've played with them a bit, but there's several you can hardly get anything out of because either the vowel consonant's off or something like that. So it's certainly not something that works with every verse.
That New York racks my brain. The stuff Chris with the lines that are like 2 words long.
Yeah,
it melts my brain. There's got to be something there. There's got to be a reason for those lines.
You'll around my footnotes soon.
What's fun about the New York one is it has a Toto acrostic, which is probably why Brett wakes up with Africa in his head.
Is it I bless the
odd
rains
mornings.
in Africa?
Bless the brain.
No, it's actually the word Toto, which I know that a lot of people are into the Wizard of Oz stuff.
Oh yeah.
So here's the thing: if you saw Toto in verse 10, would that make you think about the Wizard of Oz? So when you come to verse 11 and you see Ride the Man of Oz, do you connect those things in your brain to help you with verse 11 with no meaning on verse 10? That's the question.
So he would be using it as just a way to get you in the mindset, even though the
Like a
mindset's
precursor.
kind of incorrect.
Well, it says, like, if Ride the Man of Oz is related to bomb.
Well, yeah, okay. So
If you were to see in verse 10, you were to see this Toto thing, does that get you thinking about the Wizard of Oz? So that when you come to the verse, that's literally the next verse that says Ride the Man of Oz and the O isn't capitalized, does having seen Toto help you in a crossy-versy way?
So something that might help the secret community as a whole is when puzzle people work on puzzles, they categorize them and the difficulty and intricacies of how the puzzles work. And what you're talking about is like a cicada level of intricacy in a puzzle.
Is it really though?
Well, I mean, it's not like 4 letters from one verse
Granted.
relating to 2 letters from another. Yeah, kinda. Yeah. Is there a history of the secret being that not complex but thought out? Like,
what's the thing we don't
know.
really know?
We've seen evidence of cross-verse stuff though. The most obvious being Drummond Street, right? Like it's hard.
Well, I mean, even that's possible though. It's a possibility.
It's
we don't have confirmation there. The closest thing that we have to confirmation in the book is a dozen paintings share the clues, but that on its own is vague and can mean many things. But if the paintings truly do share the clues, we're in a lot of trouble.
That's a problem.
Yeah.
That's a problem.
We're gonna.
Yeah. It's pretty easy to see some of the line stuff though, right? And it'll always jump out at you if it helps your solve, or sometimes it even if it doesn't. But I did find it interesting that both Charleston and Roanoke have OW and WW, which would be Wilbur and Orville Wright. The Roanoke one's interesting because they actually parallel the center of the verse. And that's the correct verse, right? That's the one we're talking about for sure. We know we're talking about the Wright brothers. But then you can start, like, if you look at it, you can see so much crazy stuff. Like, I'll give you the craziest one I found where I'm like, okay, you can make absolutely anything out of this stuff. So in Chicago, you can make it say 5th is W.C. Abbott, A-B-B-O-T. Now, if you look at the other verse, it has W.C. Abbott. What verse is that? That's the 5th verse.
5th.
So it's crazy. And then if you look up W.C. Abbott, you'll see that's a guy from Chicago. So you could go down this whole long rabbit hole if you wanted to.
I do like the OWWW. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's cool.
I'd never seen that before. So
I like it.
It's an interesting little tidbit.
I'll tell you the reason I like it if you want to just think I'm even more crazy. So the reason I like it so much is obviously I've done my 21 lines thing, and I think the last line's the goal line. I think it's on a football field. But what's interesting is the WO is in the wrong order, right? It would be like Wright Orville. But if you look at it from a football field, if you're counting the numbers on a football field, it would be in the right order because at midfield, it splits and goes the other way.
I mean, I was happy with reading bottom to top, but
I don't know. I'm not going to take anything off the table with these verses, because while
Yeah.
we've got a little bit of an idea of how Alencar's mind works, we've got no clue how Byron's did. We've got no clue how tricky he wanted to make these, or no clue.
so you know how there's like some articles or something that talk about how he made like little treasure hunts for his family or for like camp as like a camp counselor. I don't know if maybe I'm making that up. Like,
I don't remember the camp
how do we
counselor
get
part, but
those?
I remember the kids. Yeah.
How do we get those?
That would be
How do we
cool.
how do we find what the other treasure hunts that he made were? What were the solutions? How do we get our hands on them?
You're gonna have to ask Ben and his children.
One of the things I've always found interesting is, and I've never had an answer. Maybe somebody does. It could just be artistic, but that BBB starting lines in Charleston and the SSS starting lines in St. Augustine, I always go, is there something there, or is he just being artistic? Maybe once we find it, we'll know.
And the question is, like, certainly from a literary standpoint, you would want, like if you think about like alliteration, and how you form poetry.
Like behind bending branches, like that's the alliteration right there, right?
Correct. Right. So what would he do something like that on purpose? Or would he, certainly he knew it. Certainly he knew that like you said, Sean, he knew that he started out BBB or whatever. Right. But like, did he do it on purpose? Was it a literary kind of function that he was?
It could have just been fun, but it's interesting. In the middle of the BBB verse, it's below the bar that binds. There's a BBB in the middle of a BBB. And you're right, it could just be artistic. But sometimes I just raise questions that I don't have answers to, because maybe I'll come up with something cool.
I think that's cool. I never noticed any of that. Like that could be something.
We talk a lot about how would you know which lines go with which other lines. That's one possible way to say that these three lines go together. They all start with B. Use them together.
Yeah. And the interesting thing about the SS2 is shell limes to silver salt. There is an SSS within the SSS. So there's definitely like attention being drawn to this, and I think it's purposeful, but it could just be because he's trying to make a poem. The S one would work because it's in St. Augustine, but it's not in Charleston, so.
All right, it is 10:30, so I'm gonna make everybody. Yeah, I'm gonna make everybody go, because I'm
Let's
gonna
hit it.
go to sleep.
Same.
But thank you for coming. I guess next week we have Robert Jenner, which is gonna be
That'll be fun.
That'll be good.
All right, cool. Thanks everybody for coming. Have a good night. I'm gonna stop.